Welcome to Vixen Media Day.
There as well, so great to see. Kelly going to keep the ball herself, and Kelly EK in for the TD.
That's great. I love that play. Fakes the handoff, takes it to the outside.
Jackie Radford, 81, wide receiver, Minnesota Vixen.
I'm excited. Let's go. Exhilarating.
Domination. Dude, that was mine. You stole mine.
Iconic.
Fun.
Kick
Violent.
ass. Kick ass.
Excited.
Serious.
Bloodletting.
Best travel companion is Steph and Johnny Cash.
Oh, I got it. Hannah Kraus, because she drove us home 8 hours at 1:30 a.m. to get us back, me and Sammy, to get us back so we could coach flag football and make it back to those games.
Yeah.
So best travel companion, Hannah, love you. You're the best.
Jeff. My best travel buddy is Katie. Come on, Katie.
My best travel buddy is Ellie Welly Biggins, number 50.
Yo, Jay, what you say?
How does it feel to be undefeated at this point in the season?
It's great, and I mean, the first half, I don't think we've scored that many points in the first half in a bit now, so it's fun to be a first half team. I think we've always been that second half team, so it's a good motivator to, for the rest of the season.
I've had a ton of fun, learned a lot. Can't wait to see what's yet to come, honestly.
It feels good. We had a really big focus this week on coming in and cleaning things up, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and we did a really good job doing that tonight, and obviously took care of business and put up some points. So really happy with where we're at, and we got a long way to go, but we're excited.
As you can tell, we're silly goofy, and we always have fun. Always find a way to have fun.
And how much fun was tonight beating the Blaze by 40 points?
I mean, it's always fun to win. You can't really say anything specific to anybody. Just winning in general is always fun. You know? Doesn't matter who it is.
It's just another day at the office, Laura. It's what I expect for myself every game. I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get 4, and I'm going to carry that into next week. Carry that rage.
I hear your nickname is Rampage.
Yep.
How'd you get that nickname?
Rampage comes from when I get going, there's no force that can stop me. I am the unstoppable object, and anyone who dares come near me when I am in Rampage is do that at your own risk.
Welcome to Vixen Media Day.
All right, throw the flag or you didn't see it. Muting the team group chat.
I didn't see it.
Teammate flirts with the ref after the game.
Throw a flag. Throw a flag.
Your teammate is wearing the same socks from a rain game.
Throw a flag.
The DB celebrates after an incomplete, but the QB overthrew the ball.
Throw the flag. Multiple flags.
And wide receiver drops 3 passes and then asks for the target on the next play.
I didn't see it.
create chaos together. We communicate together.
We locked in.
Yeah.
It was amazing, but we got to clean up some things, like Coach said. We got to clean up some things.
This felt good. I got the jitters out, so I feel ready and locked in for the next game.
It's awesome. That's my family. It's becoming family. We're getting so close to each other and definitely knowing each other a little bit more. I know I'm new on the team, so they did know each other a little bit longer, but it's definitely very helpful. They've definitely been helping me this year's season, so very exciting. It was definitely awesome. It's something that I already told the coaches that beginning of the season I wanted to come out here and start sometime during the year. I'm definitely got the chance to show them what I got, and it was definitely amazing. It was awesome, definitely with the vets and going out there with the new family and new team. It was definitely awesome. It was awesome.
She's locked in.
I'm locked in.
Locked in.
The first down. Barrett breaks a tackle into the 20. It's picked up a block. He's going to get in. A wide open pass and take him down.
It's time.
This group right here, all around, is football. We're all football players. Y'all are football players, okay?
Down. Tachiela's going to go straight ahead. Got a receiver caught. Touchdown. They're back by here. What a Houdini act. Sideline. She works another tackle. There's now one for
You know the moments, the feeling in your feet, the rhythm of ambition, that extra, that aha, that sight, that's something. The click, the shift, the boom, and you're there. The mess becomes a map, and you call it art, or science, or code, because now you know the way forward. For all the moments that drive you, there's edX. Fuel your ambition with thousands of job-relevant courses and programs at edX.org.
And as we can see, the future of technology is with us. You might be thinking, Doc, this is truly amazing. And we got.
Hey, is the projector ready? Come on, time for a team meeting.
Yo, Jay, what you say?
know the moments. The feeling in your feet. The rhythm of ambition. That extra. That aha. That sight.
That's something.
The click. The shift. The boom. And you're there. The mess becomes a map. And you call it art. Or science. Or code. Because now, you know the way forward. For all the moments that drive you, there's edX. Fuel your ambition with thousands of job-relevant courses and programs at edX.org.
I guess I'm just in the right spot at the right time. It's good to be back in the backfield and my teammates making plays to make it happen. The competitor in me wishes I could have converted on at least one of those, especially the first one. But I am grateful that my teammates are able to knock a quarterback that hard where it creates an opportunity for me. But yeah, it was really fun to get some fumble recoveries. 2 in one game is pretty uncommon, so I'm grateful that it was able to happen. I think we really understand that we just want to play as a unit. Like we're told day after day by coach, you know, do your job, and I think as long as we own that and do it together, we are going to continue to suffocate teams as long as we can keep it up and, you know, prepare properly for the games that we play. It was just different. I mean, I've played at a couple different venues now, you know, just trying to make it our home. Obviously, the locker room real close was really nice, just underneath the bleachers was awesome. It was fun to have such a large crowd. I had a lot of friends come out and family, and that was awesome as well on my end. But, you know, it's always great to have a home crowd, especially one that's loud and, you know, supports us. So it was great. I think it's just keeping the physicality up. We've played Houston before back in 2023, and it's going to be a physical battle. So as long as we can match that, if not intensify that, I think we'll be in a good spot and just, you know, capitalize on the opportunities and, you know, play smart. So.
I mean, when you have the best team, makes it easy. Everybody was playing their game, everybody was on it. You had the receivers really helping each other out by running the correct routes, and they open the ways, and I just get the ball to them. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing with Jackie since my rookie season. I've been playing with Amanda since my rookie season, and so we just have the telepathy, I guess. We just know kind of the way each other works, which makes it easier on the quarterback and also makes it easier on them because they know how I'm going to pass it to them, so they get open, and I know hopefully I'm going to see them. I would say, obviously, they're athletes. I'm an athlete. We make things happen. But I'd say by year 3, we really started clicking on all levels there. Running, passing, short game, kind of what they're known for. Kind of figured out what I was known for. We really all fell into our place. Sitting around a team and thinking they do this, they do that. But in reality, we have all the pieces. We just have to put them together every single week. Feels great. Feels really good to keep the momentum going throughout the season. I mean, we're on a 4-game streak right now, and then going to a break, having that ideally into the break, having a 4-0 after that, and keep it moving up into playoffs. I mean, they say you want to play your best basketball, your best football in playoffs, so that's always the goal, is to keep improving each game. Well, with our running backs, you have a 1-2 punch. You have Paige, who is insanely fast and can just plow through everybody. Then you have Tiff, who is also really fast, very quick step, who is very sly through it all. When you have that, you really keep the defense off their toes, because they can't come into it straight on if it's Tiff, because she's just going to slide right by you. Or if you come onto it straight on with Paige, you're probably going to get plowed over. So it really allows us as an offense to have different plays and different levels that they can't guess what we're doing. It could be a crowd, and knowing that you have that many people coming out to support not only you, the team, and everybody there has their people there to watch.
I think it says a lot about our veterans and like how they lead. We from the beginning have been told that this is like a very hardworking team that has always made its way very, very close to their goal. But watching the vets be able to take us and kind of like bring us with them to hopefully get into a championship position it's a really cool experience. It's been a lot of fun. For sure. Yeah, I think it puts in perspective what women athletes have to kind of do to like get from one point to another. We sacrifice a lot of our time to be able to go out and travel. But at the same time, it's so much fun. Like we get to hang out with each other. We really get more time together out on the road than we do when we're at home, especially with the practices and stuff. So being able to like hang out and then kind of get to know each other, it kind of builds that team camaraderie and puts us in a good spot to keep getting cohesive together. I feel like I've grown a lot, but there's still obviously a lot to learn and continue to build on. Coach Ross has done a great job with the tight ends at teaching us and kind of piecing together things that each one of us needs to work on. For me specifically, I'm just getting my hands right. But other than that, I think I've seen a lot of progress, like learning plays, learning routes, and just kind of getting the feel for football, because my background is not football. It sounds like a lot of other people have like basketball or something like that. So for me, mine is also basketball, but learning a new sport and kind of getting into that groove it's been cool. A lot different, but at the same time, not at all, because I love team sports, love being a part of a crew that's got to work together to accomplish their goal. So in terms of like being on a team, it's not too much different, but the actual sport and the strategy itself, I think that's the biggest hurdle, the biggest difference between being a basketball player and a football player. I mean, it's great. We have to have that support from the community. It really pushes women's sports to another level. It brings an energy to the games that is unmatched, and it gets us really hype and ready to go.
Left to right across the offensive line, starting left tackle number 98 is Sammy Crouch. Left guard number 65 takes 4. Center number 71, Taylor Fox. Right guard number 64, Natalie Calaboo.
recording now?
Right tackle, number 69, Marissa McKenzie.
What time are we going live, bro?
Tight end, number 86, Sam Anderson.
All right.
Wide receiver, number 12, Solveig Lundberg. The number 4 ranked wide receiver, number 8, is Amanda Dvorak. The number 2 ranked receiver and number 1 in TDs with 5 so far, wide receiver number 81 is Jackie Rasberg. The league's top-ranked rusher and number 2 in TDs with 4 so far this season, running back number 29, Rampage Cutler. And the league's top-ranked passer, our quarterback, number 10, EK, Aaron Kelly.
All right. I'm like 1.5 hungry.
Good evening and welcome to the Women's Football Alliance game. This week we have the Dallas Elite Mustangs up here in St. Paul, Minnesota at Kloss Field on the campus of Hamline University to battle the Minnesota Vixen. I'm Brian Sweeney. Alex Westhead is kind enough to join us in the booth tonight. And Alex, you and I have touched on this game on Road to Canton throughout the season so far. What's going to be the biggest takeaway as we're about 5 minutes away from kickoff tonight?
Well, for this game specifically, for the Minnesota Vixen, this is the kind of just get out there and do your job kind of game. You're a favorite. You're a heavily favorited opponent against the Dallas Elite Mustangs today, so much so that running time is likely in this contest. But it is still an opponent who has traveled a very long way, that even though their record isn't where it was, they were a pro team last year, they're now down at Division II, you still have to treat them with the respect that you do any opponent. They have some good talent on the roster. They're not a deep team, but they do have talent. And if you make mistakes in this game, it could hurt you in the long run.
Well, I was talking to head coach Ray Smith on the sidelines before the game, Alex, and most of the players for this team, rather than fly up, they drove up. A lot of them left at about 11 o'clock last night, and team drove through the evening just to get here to be on time for today's kickoff.
And it's not a terribly inconvenient drive. It's about 14 hours from the Dallas-Fort Worth area going straight up Interstate 35. So really not a convenient drive. You can take I-35 all the way up here to St. Paul, but it is a long drive, and it is the conditioning. And the difficult part of travel in this league is that you do have to be well adjusted and well prepared for the travel, whether it's 14 hours in a drive or just across town.
And we are going to throw it down. I'm being told that we're going to do our best to have our head referee, Tyler Downs, mic'd up for today's game as the captains from both teams are going to make their way on out to the field for tonight's coin toss. So we'll step aside for a moment and pay attention and see who's going to start with the ball.
All right, stop right there. Okay, right here. All right, go ahead and shake hands, everyone.
One day we'll get this figured out.
All right, Dallas, welcome to Minnesota. We're glad you guys all made it up. All right? It's going to be a good event. Captains, you guys be leaders today for us, all right? We want to keep everybody safe. We want to put on a good show. All right, does anybody have any questions? Okay, I have a coin. This is heads, tails, okay? Heads, tails. You're going to call it. Since you're the visitors, I'm going to let it hit the ground, okay? What are you going to call?
Tails.
Tails? Dallas calls tails. It is heads. You've won the... Okay, you've won the toss. Okay, which way you want to kick?
We'll kick this way.
Okay, let's all spin around over here. All right, here we go. Minnesota's won the toss, elected to receive. All right, shake hands, everyone. We'll start in about
So the Minnesota Vixen
minute 40.
coin toss, and they elect to receive the opening kickoff. Again, head referee is Tyler Downs. The rest of our officiating crew for tonight's game, our head line judge is Tom Schiller. Our line judge is Rick DeGardner. Our back judge is Aaron Goffman. And our center judge is Brent Huffendick. And Alex, it's not something you usually see when you win the coin toss. You elect to receive right away. I'm pretty sure the Vixen, they just want to get out there. It's a balmy 78 degrees here for kickoff in Minnesota tonight. Again, talking to the Dallas coaches ahead of time, I said, you probably thought you were coming up north to get away from the heat. And sure enough, they brought some of the heat with them, and hopefully they can continue to have some of that heat on the field as well.
Well, Minnesota's offense has been great. You know, I think in the 3 games that we've seen, I don't think anyone, save for those in the coaching staff and for the players themselves, believed that Minnesota's offense was going to be as high-flying as it has been against St. Louis, against Mile High, and last week against the Houston Energy down in H-Town. It's an offense that continues to fling the ball well and dominates in all 3 aspects of the game. No reason why they can't continue that again tonight.
And talking about Minnesota's offense, the league leader, Paige Kuplick, 3 touchdowns last week in her 137 net yards. And, I mean, on the season, she's over 300 yards in 3 games. So she's definitely, if you count the playoffs and both, you know, the regular season, she's on her way to a 1,000-yard year.
And Minnesota historically has factored into a running back that does have a lot of extra pace and weight to them, so that way they can get that north to south football. Kuplick is different in that, where when you give her the football, she is going to run straight, but she's also having the ability to get those cuts around to the outside, where once she gets to the outside, she can go the full distance.
And again, Dallas with a limited travel roster, so we're going to see a lot of people playing both sides of the ball, including that of wide receiver Savannah Burkhalter, who is set to kick off for the Mustangs here this evening. Clock is set to 15 minutes. Ball is on the tee, and it's in the air. It's a short kick. This one's going to be bobbled at the 40-yard line by Minnesota. Able to pick up a few yards on it. And that's going to be Sam Anderson as she's breaking through a couple tackles and pushing her way to the Dallas 46-yard line.
When they got the ball in the middle of the field on a short kick by Savannah Burkhalter, you're figuring it's not going to happen. A little bit of a mishandle there by Sam, but they were still able to recover and turn it into a pretty good gain. Hit the hole and then just follow your blocking up to the middle on the left-hand side here. And they do a great job. They recognize that first block before cutting back to the middle and just using that strength that they have as a softball player at one point for Augsburg to drive their way to the left side.
And you have a good relationship with Augsburg University, just about, about 2 miles west of where we're at here at Hamlin. So Erin Kelly set to take the first snap of tonight's game. And she takes the snap, hands it off to Kuplick on the right-hand side. Kuplick's got a good block. She's only got 1 player to beat. She's to the 10. She's to the 5. Touchdown, Minnesota Vixen.
And there it is. Paige Kuplick, again, a north-south runner by trade. But when she gets to the outside and she gets that extra block onto the outside edge, you got to really get back to be able to try to stop her from getting into the end zone. And Dallas unable to match the speed of Kuplick, and it results in 6 for the Vixen.
Yeah, and Minnesota wasting no time. In fact, only 25 seconds to get the first touchdown on the board. And our point after attempt is up. And it's good. So right away, Duraskova adds 1 to the Vixen. Vixen leads 7-0, 14:35 remaining here in the first quarter.
Well, the Minnesota Vixen touchdown drive summary, 1 play, 47 yards, 12 seconds off the game clock. And Paige Kuplick able to capitalize on the touchdown for the Minnesota Vixen, as the Vixen take the 7-0 lead on Paige Kuplick's 5th rushing touchdown of 2026.
So last time these two teams met, Alex, was back on May 11th in 2024. Minnesota coming away with the 64-30 win. And when I look at a couple, Erin Kelly was on the team then. She had 216 yards for 4 touchdowns. And then Jackie Radford, wide receiver for the Vixen, had 115 yards in receiving and 2 touchdowns that game as well. They're really the only 2 offensive players that are position players, so to speak, that are playing for Minnesota tonight that played back in 2024.
There's a couple of folks on the line that have that impact too for Minnesota this year compared to that game back in 2024. But again, skill positions are a big part of the game at the WFA Pro level. And if your skill positions are the ones that are returning, you're in a pretty good spot to return it for 7 points.
So now Minnesota set to kick off as Duraskova places the ball on the tee, and this one is up. Pass is bobbled at the 17-yard line. Cuts back, gonna move to her left. She's going to get leveled in the backfield. She's met hard by Ange Bennett of the Vixen for a loss from where she picked up that initial kick.
And one of the 4 folks that Minnesota brought up from Nebraska that have had an immediate impact. I talked with James Brown back in early April about the players they got from Nebraska and the impact that they were going to have. And all of them have had significant contributions so far in the early portion of this season.
So they are going to give line to gain, or excuse me, forward progress. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs from their own 22-yard line. Minnesota's defense this year, very stingy. In fact, 12 of the points that they've allowed have been on pick sixes.
Well, exactly, right? And when your points that you're allowing are because of your offense, it means your defense is doing something very, very right. You know, you didn't allow a touchdown against a good offense down in St. Louis that's probably underperforming this year. But then you also, in another spot, look at it where you're still playing very, very well.
So on Dallas's first play from scrimmage, going to get a false start right away. So it's going to be 1st and 15 from the 17. Not the kind of momentum that Dallas needs this early in this contest.
Well, and for Dallas, this is a tough game. It's a tough ask for them to come up here and to perform at a high level. As I said in our introduction, there's talent there certainly for Dallas. We've talked about Savannah Burkhalter on Road to Canton, Road to Champions in the past, where she's got a ton of talent available for her. It's just what can you do to build around and really help this Dallas roster find its footing.
So this time the snap is up. It's handed off. She finds a hole up the middle. Going to run into a bunch of Minnesota players, but she's going to get back the yardage lost from the penalty and pick up another 4 on top of that. Going to make it 2nd down and 6 for the Mustangs.
Well, Kuplik with a 47-yard run on her first handoff. For Burkhalter, a 10-yard carry on her first handoff this afternoon, and that's a really good way for Dallas. You think about how do you attack this Minnesota offense. We've seen running backs have success to the outside, not as much up the middle. And on the first carry up the middle for Dallas, that worked out well for him.
So 2nd down and 7 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs. This time the snap is up and it's handed off onto the right-hand side, and there is nowhere to go as Minnesota meets them in the backfield. And I want to apologize from the get-go where Alex and I are standing. It is a little difficult to see the jersey numbers on these Dallas Elite players. You can see that on your screen there as well, the black jerseys with the multicolored numbers. A little bit of white piping around them, but not the easiest to see from up here in the booth. So I do apologize if throughout the game tonight we're not giving you all the information that you're used to receiving from either of us.
And numbers just on the back side of the Dallas jerseys as well. Tough to see, obviously, the one side, but when you have it where you're attacking one way, left to right or right to left, and your offense is going in the right direction, you don't know who the number is. You can judge it based on the positioning as well, but when Dallas has as many players playing both sides of the ball, it's really tough to gather.
So 3rd down and a long 8 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs. We have receivers at the top and the bottom. Running backs in the backfield. She is met right away and taken down by Minnesota for another loss of yardage. And Dallas on their opening drive is looking at a 4th and 10 right away early in this game.
And heartbreaking certainly for Dallas. You know, you have the penalty, then you get the 10-yard run, and you figure you're in 2nd and manageable, right where you want to be. But then you lose 4 as the Minnesota defense shuts you down, and then you lose 1 on the kind of sack there. Really tough spot to be in. But also for Dallas, do you have an option to punt?
And it is looking like, from what we can see, that Dallas is going to go for it here on 4th down, deep in their own end. And they do get the punt off there. Minnesota was not expecting it, and this one's going to take a Dallas roll. And Minnesota is going to be looking at their 2nd possession of the ball game, 1st and 10 from their own 43-yard line.
Well, how about that from Dallas? That's really good disguise by the Elite Mustangs of showing yourself in an offensive passing situation, and then Burkhalter just gets the ball and boots it. Really great play design, good special teams by Dallas. And it flips the field just a little bit where Minnesota will have worse starting field position than they did on their first drive where they start on the Dallas 47. This time they'll be starting it on the Minnesota 43.
When we talked about Burkhalter, she was one of the 2 players on the Dallas Elite Mustangs who played against Minnesota the last time these 2 teams met as well, with 92 yards and a touchdown. The other play being Zierra Whitaker, who was also a rusher that game that had multiple touchdowns against Minnesota. So Erin Kelly takes the snap. She's going to throw it to her left. This one is caught to Big Tiff. Tiff right as she goes by. She escapes the tackle, gets another one, puts a nice stiff arm out there before she's ridden out of bounds by Precious Anderson of the Dallas Elite Mustangs, but not before moving the chains for Minnesota. It's a fresh 1st down.
A nice little gain on that play of 16 yards as well for Tiff Wright. Whether it's in the secondary, whether it's just taking the ball out of the backfield. Really nice play. Well done.
So great job by Tiff Wright and Erin Kelly moving the chains. Minnesota 1st and 10 from Dallas's 41-yard line. This one's looking like it's going to be a free play. Kelly's just going to throw it to the ground knowing that she's going to get the penalty.
Number 82, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
So Kelly doing something smart there, seeing that even though she had the free play, she was being charged pretty quickly by the Dallas defensive line. So she just spikes that ball into the ground, protects herself, protects her team. So it moves the ball 5 yards after the penalty. It's going to be 1st down and 5 from Minnesota.
And no reason really there. You said it when Dallas had good protection off the blind side for EK, where you could throw the ball down or you could not take the hit. I like the decision there just to throw the football into the vicinity of a tight end.
This time, Kelly's pass is completed to Radford. Radford's going to pick up the 1st down, and she's wrestled out of bounds by Monique Smallwood, but she picks up a 1st down. Fresh set of downs for the Vixen.
There's Jackie Radford making an impact the first time today. Again, attacking this near side of the screen on the left side of the formation where Aaron had the ball easy. Nice little quick out route for Jackie Radford. She makes the catch more times than not, and then makes the decision to stay in bounds, trying to churn it upfield.
Last weekend against Houston, Radford, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Kelly hands it off to Wright in the backfield, right on the left-hand side. She's looking for a corner. She's going to get thrown out of bounds. She's going to be close to the yardage marker, looking to the far side of the field. Still trying to decide. Looks like it's going to be 2nd down and about 1 yard to go. Taken down by Keisha James for the Dallas Elite Mustangs.
A nice little play call here on 2nd down. upcoming. But on first down, if you got Tiff Wright out of the backfield, you haven't really had the handoff yet today, aside from the Kuplick big touchdown run. So you choose to go with a little bit more speed out of the backfield with Tiff Wright, and it works out well, picking up 9.
Second down and 1. Trip receivers to her right. Kelly takes the snap. She's going to look to the right. She's going to pass this one. This one's going to be completed. Completed to Lundberg. Lundberg's going to pick up the first down for Minnesota. Going to be first and goal from the 9.
And Minnesota disguises this really, really well offensively. You have that trips formation outside. You have the extra receiver sit back, throwing the screen there as you see Sam Anderson going back out to the right side to fake the screen. And the ball goes to Lundberg. Lundberg was open. It's a good read by Aaron Kelly, and it turns into a goal-to-go situation.
So first and goal from the 9 for Minnesota. Dvorak wide left. Radford just off to the left. Kelly's going to hand it off up the middle. Tiff Wright, nobody in front of her. She's going to reach for the end zone. She's going to be short. Going to be second and goal from the 1.
And Wright makes you think of the running backs that Minnesota's had that have had those speed type of moves. Another shot out of the pistol. That little counter that she's able to throw on worked well. Got so close to pay dirt, but is short in this spot.
Alondria Gage, defensive tackle, in on the stop for Dallas. Second and goal. Ball at the 2. Kelly under center. Takes up the snap. Hands it off to Tiff Wright again, and Wright is in for the touchdown. Minnesota score.
Nice little drive finished off by Minnesota. And you talk about the one-play drive where Kuplick just takes it to the outside. This was a little more methodical for the Vixen offense. Great reads by Aaron Kelly. Great reads by Tiff Wright in the backfield. Well-executed drive, resulting in 6 points for Minnesota.
Duraskova to attempt the point after. The ball is down. Kick is up. And she splits the uprights again. She has been almost perfect this season as the Vixen increased their lead 14-0. 6:26 remaining in the first half.
Well, and almost perfect is a good way to describe how she has been, where the misses have not even really been anything to write home about. Just one. 15 of 16 entering play today, 2 for 2 so far, and then 1 for 1 on the field goal attempts this season. She's been really good here in the kicking game for Minnesota. Well, in your drive summary for that Minnesota Vixen touchdown drive, 6 plays, 57 yards, 3:59 off the clock, capped off by the rushing touchdown for Tiff Wright, as Wright will pick up her 4th touchdown on the season.
You know, Tiff Wright comes to us from another team that's no longer part of the WFA. Tiff and Britt Peterson, both 2 spectacular players that the Vixen were able to sign in this last offseason.
Well, and Peterson had quite the game last time here against Mile High with the interceptions, the pick sixes. Another player of the many that can star on both sides of the football for Minnesota. And the depth of Minnesota is something that this franchise has had for a really, really long time. But now, in addition to the depth, there's talent at virtually every position where before I've said things that the secondary maybe isn't as strong as it needs to be. You can't make that argument this year with Minnesota.
Duraskova's punt kickoff is good, up in the air, and she's going to be met in the backfield this time. I believe that was Alexandria Jackson on the return. And she's going to get up to about the 23-yard line before Isabella Tatum for the Vixen was in on the tackle.
And biggest thing for Dallas on this drive is not to self-inflict. The penalty first. That pushed them back 5, but then you also get a 10-yard gain in the next 2 plays. Yes, Minnesota is a powerful defensive line, and they really control that line of scrimmage, both sides of the football. But you also have to be able to make plays that aren't hurting yourself. Stay out of the penalties. We've seen, 2 penalties now thrown by the officials against Dallas so far today. You just got to play cleaner.
And both those penalties, Alex, have been mental penalties. You had a false start and you had an offside, so it's really just knowing when to move. It's not something where it was a cheap hit or pass interference where you pushed off. These are the kinds of penalties that really get under a coach's skin. Well, Dallas, snap is up. Quarterback keeps the ball. She runs her left, and she's going to lose about 2.5 yards on the play. Noble in on the stop for Minnesota.
Keandra Borders gets the straight snap here. They tried deception in the backfield, trying to give Borders a little more time on the rollout, but Minnesota ready for it. And a nice tackle by Noble.
So second down and 13, 5:27 remaining here in the first quarter. Brian Sweeney with Alex Wested. It's going to be interesting, Alex, when they play us at halftime and we throw it to ourselves back out to the game.
You know, it is something to notice. It's one thing, you know, when I did the Vixen as a play-by-play and we had colors coming in, and we've never had to throw it to ourselves, but this is the first time ever that we've had to throw it to ourselves.
So that'll be fun. Second down and 12 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs. Deep in their own end. Play clock running low. It's a bad snap. It's going to be picked up off the ground, and they're going to lose another 2 yards on the play, Alex. And Dallas is currently going the wrong direction as this one is recovered at the 20. So it's going to make it third down and 14.
Well, and it's 2 plays now where there's been that self-inflicted damage against Dallas. You see that it's a good read by Britt Peterson. She gets onto the outside edge first and creates pressure, where when you have a miscue, you have a fumble of the snap, there's not enough time for Borders to be able to recover and make a good play on the football. So now 2 straight plays that have resulted in losses for Dallas.
You know, and we've mentioned Britt Peterson last week against Houston, 5 total tackles, one of those is a sack. You know, Britt Peterson making a name for themselves so far on the Vixen defense. So third down and 14. Dallas in their bold blue, moving left to right. High snap. This one's going to be kept by the quarterback. She's running backwards. She's got to get away, and she's going to be dragged down, and I can see why the penalty was thrown as Jocelyn Tanner grabbed her and pulled her backwards. So I think in this situation, Dallas is going to be the benefit of a Minnesota mistake.
And this is just
horse collar tackle. 15-yard penalty from the...
And for Minnesota, this is just a spot where you're eager to make a play on the football, but the technique isn't there. When you go up high on somebody trying to make a tackle, things like that can happen when you're not going low and wrapping up just like you're supposed to go. So it's a learning opportunity for Jocelyn Tanner that she'll take advantage of this next time. But a first down of the game for the Dallas Elite Mustangs because of a Minnesota miscue. And for all the times in that drive that they self-inflicted themselves with the 2 straight rushing plays that went backwards, they catch a break now.
So 1st and 10 for Dallas from just shy of the 35-yard line. First down of the game for Dallas comes on a Minnesota penalty. Snap is up. Pitches it to her left. Got a good block on the left-hand side. She's going to pick up about 4 yards. That's Zaria Whitaker. We already talked about her from the last time these two teams played, and it's the first real positive yardage that we've seen out of Dallas this evening.
That's a good run play, right? Go to the outside. We talked about Minnesota having some trouble containing the run on the outside, especially against St. Louis earlier on in the year. And when you think about it, for Minnesota, the 4-yard gain by Whitaker in that play is a little bit of a letdown. But for Dallas, it's a good way to go because you are able to actually stay ahead of the sticks here on this offensive possession.
So 2nd and 6 for Dallas after a 4-yard pickup by Whitaker. Last time these teams played, she had 20 carries, so probably going to see a lot from Zaria tonight. Borders waits for the snap. This one's up over her head. Luckily, the running back was there to pull it down, but she's going to lose yards on the play. And I don't know if that time was just that Borders wasn't ready for it or if the snap was actually just that high.
Well, good awareness by Alexandria Jackson to recognize that the ball was snapped over the head of Borders. And you can see almost that fake that the motion for the face mask that Borders went with was a cue to the center that it was time to snap the football. So a misread there, but saved from being disastrous by Alexandria Jackson.
So 3rd down and 11. And a beautiful night here at Kloss Field on the campus of Hamline University, home of the Pipers. And this year, home of the Minnesota Vixen as well. Longest continuously running team in women's tackle football history in this country.
And in the state of Minnesota, Hamline, the first university.
There we go. I went to this university once.
Oh, did you really?
My aunt went here. I was like a year old.
Oh,
Went to
okay.
classes with her.
See, I thought you, okay. Oh, yeah, you did then. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Physically went.
Physically.
Not attended.
Yes. Well, I mean, technically you did attend.
I don't know if I get any credits for it. If the provost is listening, I'll take an honorary in anything. This time, pass to her left. This one is just out of the reach. What a great attempt there by Borders throwing that ball deep. Good coverage by Paige Condi. But it is going to bring up 4th down.
This is a nice little throw. As well by Keandra Borders. Not really much in terms of like the sit back, stand, and make a good strong throw, but a nice little side-arming throw. And gets the ball remarkably close. That's a really good route run as well by Savannah Burkhalter to get out in space, create a one-on-one matchup, even if it didn't go their way. I love that play call from Dallas. That's nice.
So Minnesota, fool me once, shame on me. They get ready for the punt this time, so we're going to have to wait and see. Is Dallas going to punt it? Or are they going to run it? It's really hard to tell with their formation because they do have receivers to the top, to the bottom. And it is going to be a punt. Almost blocked. This one is going to be returned. That's Morgan Petipas. And there is going to be a flag on this play.
Face mask, I think.
Borders punt fielded by Paige Condi.
Condi, excuse me, on the return.
And the penalty marker at the end of the play as well.
Foul face mask on the kicking team, number 12. Personal foul, face mask. Number 12.
We got a
15 yards added from the dead ball spot. First down.
Minnesota with a decent return. Only to get 15 more yards out of it. They're going to be starting 1st and 10 from the Dallas 32.
And the first undisciplined penalty that we've seen from Dallas so far today. But the biggest factor in all that is that if you just wrap up and go low, you can avoid penalties like that more times than not. We've seen it once with Minnesota. Now we've seen it here with Dallas.
So Kelly, quick little pass to Halverson. Halverson's got a hole. Nice little stiff arm as she's ridden out of bounds. But Halverson's going to move the change. Fresh set of downs for the Minnesota Vixen.
And EK has thrived today, passing to the outside. Another quick little hitter to Halverson. And that trips formation, that fake screen, that's what keeps it honest, is that you have to use that person that's sitting back as the screen. She's able to do that, makes a nice catching run out of it.
So that takes us to the end of the first quarter here in St. Paul, Minnesota, visiting Dallas Elite Mustangs, trailing the Minnesota Vixen 14-0. We'll be right back with the second quarter after this.
The score, Dallas Elite Mustangs 0, our Minnesota Vixen 14. Fans look down on the track. Sarge has some T-shirts to throw out into the crowd. Somebody needs to make some noise. That Fox has it on. Look at that. Good job, Sarge. We'll get you some ice for that shoulder after the game. Vixen fans.
Welcome back to the Women's Football Alliance. I'm Brian Sweeney with Alex Wested, and we're just getting underway for the second quarter as the Minnesota Vixen have a 14-0 lead over the Dallas Elite Mustangs. As you look at the stats there from the first quarter, total yards for Minnesota 99, with 34 coming of those in the air, the other 65 on the ground. And Alex, what impressed you the most so far that first quarter out of this Minnesota team?
Well, I think it's easy to say the Minnesota offense and the Minnesota Moving Company, the strength of them, and we don't talk about them enough. The offensive and defensive lines for Minnesota have really controlled the line of scrimmage so far today, but Dallas has done a good job. They're holding in there, not going on without a fight.
So Kelly with a pass across the middle. It's a Minnesota Vixen touchdown by Eddie Halverson. So quick little pass up the middle for Minnesota. Increases their lead early here in the second quarter. Zduraskova lines up for the point after attempt. Lundberg to hold. And again, straight down the middle. Zduraskova she's got more points than some of these teams we've seen this year.
Well, and exactly, right? When you have the opportunity to make something happen there, and that's just a good run by Halverson. The Dallas linebacking core in the secondary all kind of peel off of her in that zone defense to go cover somebody else, and they forget about Halverson. She's wide open. As easy of a touchdown throw as Erin Kelly's going to have this year for a drive summary that went 2 plays, 32 yards, 26 seconds off the clock, and gives the Minnesota Vixen a 21-0 lead early on in quarter number 2.
So we talked a little bit earlier how the Dallas Elite Mustangs, many of them drove overnight to get to this game. And talking with the coaching staff prior to the game, I just want to make the WFA audience aware that one of their players traveling was in a car accident on the way up here from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They are in a hospital. They're in a neck brace, mostly because of whiplash-type symptoms. But other than that, they are okay. They're going to make a full recovery, and they're expected to join back up with the team when the team returns home to Dallas.
Well, and it's never something that you want to see or hear or whatever. You obviously hope for the safety and security of all the players as they're going across town and across country, and it's heartbreaking to hear certainly something like that happens, but it's a natural part of driving, unfortunately. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Dallas Elite Mustangs, their family, and their community.
So Zduraskova to kick again for Minnesota, and it's up. Nice deep kick. Taking a Minnesota bounce, and this one's going to be picked up at about the 7-yard line and leveled at the 13. We've got some Dallas players that are going to be a little bit slow to get up. I believe Darby's one of them on the ground as well, along with Anderson.
Well, and Whitaker, to her credit, after it hit off the tip of her hand, she went back to go make a play on the football and try to carry it up the field, and then she took a lick. She tried to cut in and extend the play, and out of nowhere, whether it's Ange Bennett coming up over the top or getting sidelined kind of by her own teammate, it's a tough way for Zaria Whitaker to end that really good play.
So 1st and 10 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs, 14:41 here to go. Early in the second quarter. Women's Football Alliance Pro Division Minnesota Vixen against the Division II Dallas Elite Mustangs. And last year, Alex, Dallas was a pro team themselves. Talking to the coaches beforehand, the main reason they decided to step down to the Division II level is strictly numbers.
Well, numbers is a big part of it too, and I imagine what they're not saying as well is the level that they played at the pro level is not up to Elite Mustang standard of football. This is one of the winningest franchises in the WFA where they are used to having a championship caliber team. They haven't the last couple of years, so you go back down to Division II, rebuild your program, recruit more talent, and then you can step back up to the pro when you're ready.
And recruitment is so hard in that area when you have the Austin Outlaws, the Houston Energy, and the Dallas Elite Mustangs all fighting for those same players. Speaking of players, this one's going to be up the middle, and I want to say It was almost like she handed it off as she was being tackled, and Alexandria Jackson's able to pick up a few more yards and make it 2nd down and 7.
That's what makes a good running back or good tailback, able to take advantage of opportunities. When you get hit and then you pick up the extra 2nd or 3rd yard because of it, and you just ride defenders as you're going up the field, that's a really good running back showing the strength that they have. Meanwhile, behind the play, Ashley Whalen and Shasiah Nesbitt were having a little bit of a tussle behind the play and going back and forth, something to watch here in a game that's already a 3-score contest.
So the clock is ticking, 13:45 in the 2nd quarter. 78 degrees, air temperature down on the field, probably closer to 90. This time the ball is snapped, handed off into the backfield. Looks like Burkhalter is going to be met and taken down for a loss. And no, it actually wasn't Burkhalter, the ball carrier that time. That was Noble on the tackle for Minnesota, and Alexandria Jackson was the ball carrier for Dallas.
Noble's been swarming this defense for Minnesota in the 2 games here at home at Classfield in St. Paul. Just has a good nose for the football, knows for where a running back is going to carry the ball. Now she puts Dallas into a 3rd and long.
Dallas averaging a little over a yard per rush attempt so far this game compared to Minnesota's 16.3. Dallas comes out of the huddle. Hands it off in the backfield. Running to the side. Whitaker going to make a gain of about 2 yards. But again, Dallas just keeps running into that Minnesota Vixen defensive line and not able to turn anything into a real gain.
Well, that's the tough part about it. You can get 2 yards, but 2 yards every rushing play is really going to put you behind the sticks. You have to start getting those big chunk plays. Certainly throwing the football would help. Right now, it's just Minnesota shutting down anything that Dallas has had going. The biggest play of the game was on a penalty, self-inflicted by Minnesota.
Looks like we are going to have our first timeout of the game, and look and see who this was called by, and it's going to be called by Minnesota. So Minnesota takes the timeout, and Alex, we can look. DC Diva, other pro division game, currently up over the Tampa Bay Inferno 14-7, and you and I talked a little bit before this game came on air that at the time Tampa was up 7-0 over the Divas, so definitely a improvement as that game has moved on for them. And a couple other games that will be starting a little bit later this evening, as my screen refreshes itself right when I get there. St. Louis Slam be playing the Houston Energy, and Minnesota on a bye next week, welcoming the Slam to town the week after that, and just coming from Houston last week. So Minnesota seeing a lot of these teams that are playing today.
And still a schedule for the Minnesota Vixen that doesn't have the strength of schedule that they're really looking for. Already with a win against St. Louis, down in St. Louis for the first time ever. But now you have to bring them back up here, and you have to go and run that same play, that same game plan with film that you've had against them, and really build that into a regular season sweep over the Slam, because there's teams, Cali, Nevada, Salt Lake, that are all looking to jump into that spot if St. Louis continues to struggle as they have been this season. Because I was talking about it before the game with somebody. You beat Cincinnati last week in a 21-12 scoreline, but you don't look like the St. Louis Slam. They just haven't found their stride yet and really have been dominant like we're used to seeing. Granted, they have losses on all sides of the football, but it's still not Slam football.
Minnesota again 24-7 over the St. Louis Slam on opening weekend, as you stated. First time they've ever won in St. Louis, only the second time that they have ever beaten the Slam in about a dozen meetings.
Yeah, the other was a 40-7 rout here in Edina a couple of years ago.
So this punt is going to go over the hedge of Paige Condi, and she's going to let it roll. And this one's going to be picked up by the Dallas Elite Mustangs.
Well, Minnesota will have another chance to put more points on the scoreboard. This is where I'd like to see Minnesota's offense. We've seen them just run the bread and butter plays that they're used to running. I think now at this point in the 3-score game, you can be a little more creative. You can show us some of more of the trick plays, and obviously the coaching staff from Minnesota, led by Connor Joe Lewis, one of the greatest Minnesota Vixen of all time. You don't want to show too much to other teams, especially knowing that you're not going to play a Cali until the postseason, you're not going to play a Salt Lake until the postseason, and you're going to play St. Louis again. You don't want to show too much, but at the same time, I'd like to see just a little more flash out of Minnesota now that they have a lead that they have.
So Kelly takes the snap. She pump fakes. She looks to her left. She's got an open receiver in Radford. Radford has nobody on her. She's to the 10. She's to the 5. Touchdown, Jackie Radford on a wide open pass from Aaron Kelly.
Well, they listened. That's for sure. Jackie Radford, since coming into the league as a receiver, has had a really good impact on this Minnesota Vixen offense. And when she's able to get as much separation as she does on this play, it's really tough to come back to her and try to stop her in the field of play, where she had maybe 10 yards of distance between anybody else on the football field. And when you give her that much time, that much space, Aaron Kelly almost doing that double clutch, saying there's no way she can be that open. Then she fired the rifle right in time, and a nice touchdown pass to Jackie Radford.
Snaps a little bit high, placed down. Duraskova's kick is up, and once again, it's perfect through the center. Yeah, Radford coming into this game, 175 yards receiving already this season. Greatest thing is, that was only on 11 receptions.
Well, look at it here again. There's that separation. Just 5 yards, not the 10 I said previously. But even that's enough for a quarterback that's experienced like Aaron Kelly and a receiver that's experienced as well. You're looking into the sun as well if you're Jackie Radford, so a little extra difficulty in there, but a really nice catch turning into a Vixen lead on a one-play, 63-yard drive that took 10 seconds off the clock.
Definitely the kind of fireworks show we expected from the Vixen coming into this game tonight. As we look across the field, we see the State Fairgrounds. Looking forward to that in just over 3 months.
You know, Texas will say they'll have a better state fair than Minnesota does. I don't know that I agree with that.
We'll tell you what, the winner of the game can claim the better state fair.
Oh, I think that's fair. I think Minnesota's in a good spot right now, but still time on the video boards, time on the scoreboard. Still got to close out the game until it's zeros in the fourth.
So Duraskova, boom, ball up in the air. This one's going to go all the way, and what a foot we've seen on her so far this season between the field goal, the point after attempts, and the kickoffs, Alex.
We saw it in week number 3, where a good kicker can be a difference between a good team and a great team in this league. As Pittsburgh hit a walk-off field goal against DC to claim victory in the Beltway. And when you have a kicker that has the ability that Duraskova has, following up Hannah Eckhart, it's really such an asset for this team to have somebody like that, that when you need to hit a big kick, you can hit a big kick because they have the ability.
So Borders and the Dallas Elite Mustangs looking hard to get something to happen here. And as I look out the window here, and Minnesota's long snappers are practicing on the sideline. It's really haven't had a need for that today.
Well, no need, right? I mean, you've had drives, all of which have ended in touchdowns, whether it be one play or 6 plays.
So Dallas Elite Mustangs break the huddle. 10:58 remaining in the first half of this game. And we're going to have flags for a full start. As I look down, and Britt Peterson is dancing on the sideline there.
5-yard penalty.
I think they assume that they're responsible for that false start.
It's a level of confidence that Britt has, knowing the threat that Peterson has, the ability to be on both sides of the football. And just being on the field is enough to generate nervousness.
Trying to make the audience guess what's happening.
So 1st and 15, and we're going to have another whistle.
We just need a sky.
Dallas is going to choose to use their first timeout of the half. So we kind of ran through Minnesota's first game against St. Louis, where they won 24-7. Second week of the season, Mile High was here at Kloss Field, and Minnesota took care of business 62-20. Then last weekend, they were down in Texas, but they were playing the Houston Energy, where they won that game by 50 points, 56-6. Next week, Minnesota is on a bye, and then they will have back-to-back weeks here at home against the St. Louis Slam, and they end the regular season on the road against the Tampa Bay Inferno before their second bye of the season, right before the postseason starts.
Which is a tough conversation to think about, where you obviously have the bye before your biggest home game of the year against St. Louis. They are your measuring stick. They have been since both teams have been really good at the WFA Pro level. But then you also have another bye. Then you're traveling to Tampa. And I don't know if this is news to anybody, but the weather in Tampa in June is not always particularly pleasant. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on. And they have good weapons down there, Meg Joyce at wide receiver, that can make defenses nervous. And for Minnesota, that's one of probably a couple of really talented wide receivers that in this postseason run for the Vixen, you're going to have to be prepared for.
So Peterson running up to the line again, trying to get that elite Mustangs offense to jump. And this one's going to be a pass. And it's going to be over the head of Burkhalter. Looks like great coverage that time by Bostic for Minnesota. And Bostic didn't even have to make a play on the ball. Burkhalter did it for her.
And it's two parts of this play where Minnesota's showing all 8 inside of the box. Then the throw is a high teardrop. And Bostic a little bit nervous there with how you're turned to the back. And you're just trying to keep your positioning there. You are in a spot where maybe there's a pass interference flag that could be thrown. But even still, Burkhalter behind where Bostic was at. Not necessarily a flag, but still, maybe just turn around to the football, try to see if there's a way you can see it and not worry about a potential flag.
So 2nd down and 15. Borders takes the snap, hands it off in the backfield. This time we're going to pick up some yards. Going to get a couple on the play, going to make it 3rd down and still quite long as Burkhalter gets up to their own 28-yard line.
Alexandria Jackson with the carry.
Well, it's 3 yards on the gain after the tackle, but after the penalty, the incompletion, you're still behind schedule. So we've seen all of a sudden now Keandra Borders has started to really stretch the field a little bit. I wouldn't mind having her target Savannah Burkhalter again.
Third down and a long 12 for the elite Mustangs. Moving right to left, into the sun. This time, Borders takes the snap. She's going to throw it right away, and she completely underthrows her receiver. As that pass was intended for Precious Anderson. Going to bring up 4th down once again.
And I think less underthrew, more just a misconnection on the route. Because, I mean, there's space there, right? There's space in that slot on the right-hand side where there was a potential completion awaiting there. But when you have the go route instead of maybe that post or that cut to the inside, it changes the outcome of the possession.
Clock is running. Dallas electing to use the WFA mercy rule. Once a team is up by 28 points, the team behind can elect to have a running clock. This punt is going to be up. Minnesota's just going to let it roll. So we talk about that mercy rule, Alex, and once the clock has started to be a run clock, unlike high school hockey, which you and I are both familiar with, where it's a run clock after there's such a goal differential. In the WFA, once the run clock has started, it will continue to run. no matter if the score gets closer or not. So the team that elects to make it a run clock, they can all of a sudden have the lead, and it's still going to be a run clock.
Well, and it's a visiting, more times than not, it's a visiting team request on the result of the running clock versus not. Dallas requested it very early on. Part of that, I think, is because you look at their bench, right, where you have, and you talk with the coaches about how the move to Division II made sense because of the lack of players on the roster. You've got 4 players on the bench right now. And 11 on 11, having 4 on the bench is a really tough spot to be in.
So Kelly going to hand the ball off to Tiff Wright. Tiff Wright runs into a couple players. She's going to escape a tackle. The ball is out. Wright fumbles the ball. Going to look to see. Recovered by Dallas. It's a Dallas Elite Mustangs ball on a Tiff Wright fumble.
And that's something Deanna Pittman can look forward to in terms of the result of this play. And it's a coaching moment for Minnesota. Yeah, it's a 4-possession game, but ball security still is important, right? Maybe a little more loose with the ball than what they wanted it to be. And when you are that loose with the ball in the outside hand, it's in the right hand, but when you're still loose, if your grip isn't there, you're going to lose a football, and turnovers against teams will hurt you at some point. So just a little more careful on the ball carrying there for Minnesota.
So Dallas Elite with their best field position starting a drive so far today as they are 1st and 10 from their own 44-yard line. Minnesota with their first fumble loss of the season by Big Tiff, as I was told to call her by a coworker of hers. Tiff and I both employees of the General Motors Corporation in one aspect or another, so run into each other on the professional side of the world as well away from football. This time, Burkhalter with the ball carrier. Whitaker, with the ball carrier. She's going to get about a yard on the play, going to get up to the 45-yard line, going to make it 2nd down and 9. Bostic in on the tackle.
And that's where for Dallas, I'm a little surprised by the cautious nature of the play calling there. You just get a turnover where Minnesota's defense has to suddenly go back out onto the field. I'm taking a shot there on a big play just to try to flip the field, give you a little momentum, whether it's in this game or going on to the rest of their regular season at the Division II level. I'm a little surprised that they weren't taking that big shot.
So 2nd down and 9, 6:35 remaining here in the 2nd quarter. Dallas. 2 running backs behind Borders. Receivers to her right and left. And this one's going to be another false start as we saw the right side of that line move early.
And you see the trick play getting set up there.
Offense, number 12, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And when you see that trick play start to go in where somebody all of a sudden cuts in and goes under center, you're trying to fake the defense to be able to make a miscue. But even there, still, you need to be aware, what is the snap count? When am I going? When am I being ready to go and start making this play happen? Dallas, another false start penalty.
So 2nd and 14. Borders going to hand it off in the backfield right away. And nowhere to go as Dallas is met right at the line of scrimmage. Going to make it 3rd down and long for the Elite Mustangs. Just not getting anything put together so far in this game.
And they keep trying to run the football up the middle. And they've had success when they've run it outside of the tackles. But when so much of your game is just wind and grind down the defensive line for Minnesota, the strength and conditioning for Minnesota, you're not going to win that battle. Whether it's Pat Tane in the middle, whether it's Red Bryan in the middle, you're not going to win the battle if you're trying to run up the middle against Minnesota. You could be a Jada Humphrey and have a chance, but Dallas right now, with how they're hitting the holes, they're just not winning the line of scrimmage on the defensive side for Minnesota.
12 rushing attempts for Dallas, total of only 17 yards rushing here in the later half of the 2nd quarter. This time, little toss almost intercepted. That one was in and out of the hands of Jocelyn Tanner. Great opportunity there for Minnesota, but she breaks up the play, and it's going to be 4th down.
And a good read by Tanner here to disengage, seeing that the ball was not thrown as sharply perhaps as it was intended to be. She's frustrated with herself not picking up the interception, but still, really good play reading the ball by Jocelyn Tanner.
So Paige Condi waits the punt from the Dallas Elite Mustangs, who trail Minnesota 28-0. This punt straight up in the air. This time it's going to take a Minnesota bounce. Not quite sure what Condi was doing running up to that ball, but you can hear so much of the production crew in the room next to us saying, get away from that ball.
Right, you don't want to put yourself into a position after Minnesota had a turnover on the last drive. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're still giving Dallas, or anybody for that matter, extra opportunities with the football. And Condi going around looking for a flag. She had some contact in there with a gunner for Dallas, but still, just stay away from the football. You don't need to return the punt. You're just fine getting the ball right about midfield, already with a 4-score lead.
Another timeout taken on the field. We talked a little bit earlier about Minnesota so far this season. Let's look over at the Dallas Elite Mustangs schedule. They opened up the season with back-to-back games at home and back-to-back wins as well, Alex. As opening weekend, they played the Zydeco Spice and took care of business 34-14. And then on May 9th against the Austin Outlaws, where they won 12-7. So they're here at Minnesota this week, and then they have a bye next week before playing at Houston Energy on the 30th. And then they finish out the season June 6th at home against OKC, and then on the road for the second half of a home-and-home on June 13th at Zydeco.
Well, on a much easier travel schedule for Dallas the rest of the way. You're traveling 4 hours south to Houston, up north to OKC, which is about a 5-hour drive, and then over to the Spice, where you're sitting there in Louisiana. So it's a little more comfortable and closer in terms of where they're at travel-wise, and that requirement just a little bit easier for them. But just one pro-level team, otherwise staying in Division II against OKC and the Spice before that pro game next time out in 2 weeks at Houston.
So 1st and 10 for Minnesota. Erin Kelly takes the snap. She's going to drop back. She's going to throw it up the middle. She's got Amanda Dvorak open, who falls to her feet. Not able to pull this one in. Going to make 2nd down.
And good read by Kelly. Seeing Dvorak on that nice little slow turn out. Space was there, chance was there. Just wasn't able to connect and finish her off.
So Dvorak coming into this game, 115 yards on 8 receptions, 2 touchdowns for Amanda so far this season. 2nd down and 10 for Minnesota. Mackenzie Reed moves across the backfield. Kuplick gets the handoff up the left-hand side, takes a block, makes her way to the right. She doesn't have anybody left in front of her. Kuplick with another touchdown for the Minnesota Vixen.
Her nickname is Bowling Ball, and true to a bowling ball, it looks off the hand where you're going to go straight, and then it gets a nice little curve when it needs to. That's this run by Paige Kuplick. She starts straight and then sees the hole open up, curves back to the inside, and finds pay dirt for the 2nd time today. And so much of that bowling ball atmosphere, we've had tanks, we've had trains, but the bowling ball provides not only the power, but the ability to get that nice little curve off to cut back to the middle when the lane's open.
And another kick up and another kick good for Duraskova as Minnesota increases their lead now 35-0 with 3:20 remaining here in the second quarter.
And you see how she starts to that outside. When she gets the outside edge, she is a tough customer to try to get past. She sees that she's nothing on the left side, but then all of the Dallas defenders cut back over, covering that sideline. And Kuplik just does just enough to be able to cut back in, see the extra space on the inside, and make Dallas pay for the misread.
And we got Halverson, we got Dvorak, all right behind Kuplik as well, so that if a Dallas defender started to get there, they could clear a path for her and help her get to that end zone, as you stated, for her second touchdown tonight.
And the nice part with that, too, we talked about it before, Kuplik has one style of run, but when you have Tiff Wright coming in offering another style of run, it does a good job confusing defenses where you know what you're getting, but at the same time, you still have to stop it. And neither of these two have been easy to stop at all this season.
So 35-0. As Duraskova is going to need a new pair of kicking shoes after this game. As once again, the ball gets all the way to the end zone for the touchback.
Minnesota's had everything working today, Brian. That is for sure. And the longer this season goes, the more impressive the offense and defensive shows for Minnesota has been. This is a really good spot for the Vixen to be in, and we've seen some really good teams. Since we've been doing the WFA, since we've been doing the Minnesota Vixen together, we've seen some really good teams come through, and this group is making a case for the best yet.
248 total yards for the Minnesota Vixen here so far through this game, and it's almost dead evenly split. 119 on the ground, 129 in the air, and that's what you need to make it far and get all the way back to Canton, Ohio, which Minnesota's trying to get to for the first time since 2022.
And hopefully some fun times for everybody in Minnesota, that's for sure. We know we've had our share of fun times with the Minnesota Vixen in Canton, Ohio, hoping for some more again this year. But that was the last time Minnesota didn't really have the balance. So much was on the run game, that last team that made it to Canton, Ohio. Now you have that balance, and Erin Kelly's throwing about as well as anybody. You already know that she has the most passing yards in the league. If she can keep that up, maybe we plan our tickets now.
And taken down in the backfield with a big hit. Jacqueline who was that? Was that Schweitzer into the backfield to take down Borders?
It'll be something if Jackie Radford came in and made a sack, but I wouldn't be surprised. And look at the time, or the lack thereof, rather, that Borders doesn't have. And getting right underneath, Petipas goes right low, pulls her down. Great read, good play.
Loss of 4 on the play. Second down and 14. 2:20 remaining in the second quarter. Borders waits the snap. Ball is in her hands. There's a flag on the play. This one's going to be intercepted by Minnesota. That's Britt Peterson as she cuts back to the left-hand side. The referee throws his hat, so there's a second flag on the play. As it stands right now, Britt Peterson's in for the Vixen touchdown. We'll have to wait and see what the two flags are.
And I think this one's coming back.
And there was 67 on the return team.
It's a question of whether or not it'll be offset.
Okay, all right, we have offsides defense number 67. We're going to
so let's take a look at
previous spot, second down. Offside defense number 5-yard penalty, second down.
And ultimately that one hurts because you don't have anything else that affects the outcome of the play. Where this is another good read defensively by Britt Peterson, and Burkhalter throws this up like a prayer. And all of a sudden, there's Britt Peterson as the ball that time was underthrown. Peterson's right there and does what they do best, where they're taking it up on the left side of the line. And unfortunately for Minnesota, comes back due to offsides.
Britt Peterson obviously going to be frustrated as, that's one of those times where she did everything right, but she doesn't get the stats. As we reach the 2-minute timeout. Minnesota currently up over the Dallas Elite Mustangs 35-0. And Alex, you and I have been having fun this season on Road to Canton. It's great to have the title back after the WFA signed another multi-year agreement with the Pro Football Hall of Fame Village in Canton, Ohio. And I know George's Bar will be happy to know that you'll be coming back for at least another half decade.
Well, at the very least, that's for sure. And people don't know that Canton is more than just the Hall of Fame. But there's so much more to do in Canton. There's so many great things to do in Northeast Ohio where a lot of times people don't know about it. But it's worth taking the time to head out to Canton, Ohio. See the Hall of Fame, of course. That's the staple of it. But there's so much else to do out there that it's worth the time and the visit to spend a couple of days out there in Northeast Ohio.
And it's, even though they don't have a major airport, I know you and I, every year when we fly in, it's like, do I fly into Pittsburgh? Do I fly into Cleveland? What kind of drive do I want? I know this year you and I are already talking. We're probably going to go out that Wednesday or early Wednesday night, maybe early Thursday morning, take in a baseball game on Thursday before we drive down to Cleveland and do it again. I mean, for you, this is, let's see, for me it's the 8th year.
I think this is going to be 5 for me now already. You're number 5. I think my first was 2022. So
we get a flag on the play, and it's going to be a false start against Dallas.
False start penalty on the Mustangs. Back to 5 yards.
Of course, shout out to the WFA for continuing to have us out there year after year. Get the opportunity to represent the league, not just in the weekly Road to Canton show that we do, but also on the big stage, a 4-letter network, ESPN2.
Well, it's great, too. We've seen the WFA sign extended contracts with the All Women's Sports Network. Good to see Whoopi Goldberg's little piece that went live today where she's representing the Women's Football Alliance and promoting the sport as well. And then, of course, Swerve Network. Borders with the pass. This one's going to be short, intended for Precious Anderson. Good coverage that time by Minnesota's Caitlin Hove.
And Hovey does a really good job of reading this ball. But again, a second time for Minnesota where you still need to look back once the ball is thrown. That's on the offensive sideline where your team needs to be shouting ball, 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 or something to indicate that the ball has been thrown up into the air so you can start swinging around and looking for it to avoid a potential pass interference penalty.
1:54 remaining here in the first half. 3rd down and 14 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs, trailing Minnesota 35-0. Borders takes the snap, being chased in the backfield, and she is going to be taken down for a loss. Minnesota thinks they're going to jump on the loose ball, but it's going to be down by contact. Great time that time by Morgan Petipus on the tackle, and looks like we've got an injured Mustang on the field.
And a team that can ill afford injuries here today. And Petipon does a really nice job, again, getting around. His timeout will be taken by Minnesota. Does a really nice job. And you see the ball comes out well after the ball carrier was down on the ground. You see our white hat this afternoon, Tyler Downs, indicating it immediately. But again, give Minnesota credit. Ball's on the ground. You're waiting for the whistle. Really nice job.
Yeah, I just noticed that too. Thank you. Is that better?
Tiffany Wright already with a touchdown today. Kuplick with 2. Radford with 1. Halverson with 1. Minnesota spreading the ball out, sometimes in the air, sometimes on the ground. But I think that's what really helped them that first game this season against St. Louis as well, is Minnesota has done this season what you and I have been saying needs to be done for a couple years now, and they need to be strong both in the air and on the ground.
And how many times do we say early on that the strength of Minnesota was the ground game? And you could list off running back after running back after running back, whether it's our first game together in Kansas City or whether it's all the games that we've done now over the 5 years. No, longer than that. How many years have we been doing this together now? 2019, was that our first?
Year before COVID.
So then 7 years now we've been doing this together. But yeah, the balance has been a big part for Minnesota that they've needed to add.
So Paige Condi's going to pick this one up. Instead of letting it bounce, she's going to run down the sideline. She's pushed out of bounds by Precious Anderson, but great field position for the Minnesota Vixen in the waning moments of the second quarter.
I think that's what Condi was trying to do the last time, that there was a ball that kind of came back where she's trying to go rush up onto the ball, make a play on it, pull it back into the body, and then carry it up the field. That time it worked. The first time it didn't. So more of that for Minnesota. And Condi, once again, give her credit. She takes advantage of the blocking that's there. Katie Hovey throws another good one that's just enough. And I think that when you're looking at that play as well and you're upset that maybe there was a little bit of shove out of bounds, I don't know. To me, looking at it live, you're so close to the field, no reason to throw a penalty marker there.
So Minnesota 1st and 10 from the 33-yard line. Kelly takes the snap. She's going to hand it off to Tiff. Tiff on the left-hand side. She's running far. She's going to be pulled down. Going to pick up some yardage on the play, though. Both players a little slow to get up. Going to have an official's timeout for an injury. Look at the replay here. Great job by Tiff getting in motion right away. That's Anderson that was on the tackle. Basically just pulled right on top of him.
Maybe a little bit of the hip drop there too. Where you're using that weight, you're just going limp, pulling the body down. And as mentioned, it's a little warmer than average here in the Twin Cities today, right about, well, let's see, what's the temperature right now? 75, so it's a little bit warmer than average. Average high for today is 70.
So 2nd down and 8. Kelly drops back. She pump fakes. She pulls it back down. She's looking downfield to her right. She's got a receiver open. And this one's just going to be a little bit out of the reach of Lundberg. Going to bring up 3rd down for Minnesota.
You can see EK looking to get some space for Lundberg out on the right side. Another receiver was in the area as well. We're trying to navigate and tell your receivers, go towards the sideline, toward the sideline. I can throw a ball longer for you there. But it just drops incomplete. On the initial snap here, you see she's looking left for Dvorak and for Radford. Nothing there. Good coverage by Dallas, so she rolls out to the right side. And yeah, she's got Radford open back, but she's not looking that way. Instead, there's a chance still for Lundberg to make a catch.
3rd down and 8. Kelly, 4 receivers to her right. Instantly, she throws it to her right. This one's caught by Ray Jefferson. Jefferson's going to pick up a 1st down, spins away from a tackle. Going to be pulled down at about the 16-yard line. Fresh set of downs for Minnesota.
And more great play design by Minnesota. We've seen the trips before. Now we see quads onto the outside. Running out of time here.
So Kelly takes the snap, throws it to her right. This one is in and out of the hands. This time Lundberg with the drop. Going to bring up 2nd down and 10.
Not to mention it, too, for Ray, but being from Texas originally, last week against Houston, now this week against Dallas, a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, perhaps, against teams from the home state.
22 seconds remaining here in the first half. Minnesota Vixen up 35-0 over the Dallas Elite Mustangs. I'm Brian Sweeney with Alex Westhead live in Kloss Field on the campus of Hamline University in St. Paul. Beautiful urban campus here. Minnesota breaks the huddle. Jefferson's lined up behind Kelly. Lundberg to her right. 2 receivers to her left. She's going to turn to her left. This one's going to be caught. This time it's caught. It's going to be spun around by Sam Anderson, and Sam Anderson's going to be just about a yard short of the 1st down. Going to bring up 3rd and very short.
Well, and the focus that they have off the miscue, good play action by Minnesota, faking the handoff to Jefferson. And then just a little teardrop from Aaron Kelly where Anderson has the focus, where they're able to stick with the ball all the way down through the process of the ground, pick up a goal-to-go situation, and still Minnesota a chance to add more here before halftime.
Minnesota uses their final timeout of the half. Dallas Elite still with 2 timeouts, 12 seconds remaining.
Other team too.
Ball on the 9-yard line. Minnesota could pick up a first down, but with no timeouts, they're either going to hand this one off to Wright or Kuplik. Well, Wright's on the sideline, so there goes that idea. As I look out the window, just standing here by the bench.
Well, and Kuplik is on the sideline as well. And so I think that what that tells me is that you're empty in the backfield. You're going 5 wide. You're taking a shot to the end zone here. With some of the options that you've had, Dvorak is a good one. I think you're looking for a little slant over the middle, so Ray Jefferson might not be a bad play here either. It's definitely pass, take a shot, hope that you either have the touchdown or it's the incompletion. You maybe set up a field goal.
So 3rd down and 3. Lundberg and Radford to her right. Jefferson behind her. Kelly airs the ball out. She's got Lundberg in for the Vixen touchdown.
Well, the fans love it in here in St. Paul. There's a lot of superlatives you can use to describe this throw. From Aaron Kelly to Solveig Lundberg. Majestic is the one that comes to mind. Beautiful back shoulder fade for 6.
The ball is down. Duraskova's kick is up. And she remains perfect as Minnesota now leads at the half 42-0 as we look at the replay again of this last touchdown of the first half.
You got 2 receivers going out that way, both with Radford and with Lundberg. Lundberg and Radford both with separation, but Lundberg gets an atonement for the last 2 misses that she's had and works out very, very well. Great catch made by her there.
So we're going to send it to half. Minnesota up 42-0 over the Dallas Elite Mustangs here in the Women's Football Alliance Week 4 action. We'll see you for the second half of the game right after this.
To her left, has time, throws on the run to the end zone. It's caught for a touchdown! Pittsburgh TD!
The athletes, they're the backbone of this whole league, and they're just amazing people. They've got amazing stories.
Barrett in the pattern, they're looking for her. Able to bring that one in, Brianna Barrett! My goodness!
I never thought I'd be here. I feel like the best things in life are things that come to you unexpected. So it's been a great journey for me.
I know this is where I'm supposed to be.
Caught touchdown, Jana Meister.
Essentially, it's true of breaking barriers, right?
She could go all the way, and she does. Touchdown!
We're shattering the glass ceiling.
Great pass up in the air, touchdown!
All of the women role models that we look up to are all women who did things that were not expected.
They realize they're pioneers. They realize that the trail that they leave is going to be a path that a young girl can follow.
It gives you hope. They believe in themselves, I believe in them, and Frank will believe in all of us, so it just goes with the territory.
And as we can see, the future of technology is with us. You might be thinking, Doc, this is truly amazing. And we got.
Hey, is the projector ready? Come on, time for a team meeting.
You know the moments, the feeling in your feet, the rhythm of ambition, that extra, that aha, that sight.
That's something.
The click, the shift, the boom, and you're there. The mess becomes a map, and you call it art, or science, or code, because now you know the way forward. For all the moments that drive you, there's edX. Fuel your ambition with thousands of job-relevant courses and programs at edX.org.
Welcome to the Road to Canton Halftime Show. I'm Brian Sweeney, the voice of the Women's Football Alliance Pro Division National Championship game. Alex Weston will be back in studio next week, but first he checks in with who he thinks can make it all the way to the championships in Canton this season.
Brian, I think that's a really nice thing about this season so far. You have a lot of teams that all can make a competitive case for. Pittsburgh and DC are close. Cincinnati's close in there too. Out in the West, the toughest part about that is you can make an argument for a Minnesota. You can make an argument for a Cali. You can make an argument for a Salt Lake, but none of these teams have played each other yet. And that's the most exciting thing, is that we don't know, especially in the West, who's going to qualify for that postseason spot to Canton because of how competitive it is early.
For the first time this season, all 11 teams in the Pro Division faced off in Week 3. In the only game that had a pro-level team face a D2 team, the 0-1 Tampa Bay Inferno faced off against the 2-0 Atlanta Rage and came away with a 21-20 win. Tampa is off next week before traveling to play the 2-0 Pittsburgh Passion on May 30th. This game was much closer down the stretch, and neither Alex nor I had Tampa picked to win, as we both had Atlanta Rage coming away the victors. Alex tells us what he thinks of the Tampa Bay Inferno.
Well, and it's a good win for Tampa. Again, just finding a way to get that win against an Atlanta team in Division II. That is a pretty good side. We've seen that in their time here. And for them to bounce back as they did from their last game, you'd like to see where Tampa's at. They're able to win those close competitive games. Now, if they can just turn that into the top level on the pro side and contend with the Pittsburghs, the DCs, and the Cincinnatis of the world, could be a good season for Tampa if it's not already.
The DC Divas and the Pittsburgh Passion both anticipate to represent the National Conference at the National Championship this season in Canton, Ohio. Entering Week 3, both teams were 1-0, and it was a back-and-forth game throughout much of the first quarter. And in the end, it was a walk-off field goal by Cody Johnson that gave the Passion the 17-14 victory. The Passion will travel to play the 1-0 Cincinnati Cougars next weekend, while the Divas are on a bye before they themselves face Cincinnati on May 30th. Games like this are always fun to watch, and knowing that these two teams will meet again on June 6th and more than likely in the playoffs gives Marcelina Chavez and Amanda Congialdi something to study in the film room, getting ready to face each other again.
Yeah, the rivalry's growing between these two very, very quickly. And when you have such a matchup as this one, where you get a walk-off field goal to win it on the road, it was a gutsy win by Pittsburgh. I think there's no mistake about it. Amanda Congialdi was throwing the football really, really well, had some great help from her receivers in this game, and this is not a matchup that I think we're going to see twice and be done. We're going to see this in the postseason, and it's going to be must-watch television because of how close these teams are. You can see that when both are healthy, they go pound for pound, round for round with each other, and I can't wait for that second matchup coming up in June.
After a week off, the 0-1 St. Louis Slam battled against the Cincinnati Cougars. This game had opportunities for both teams to capitalize. However, nothing seemed to develop as both teams turned it over on downs multiple times. In the end, St. Louis held strong and came away with a 21-12 victory. The Cougars will host the 2-0 Pittsburgh Passion next week. St. Louis is on a bye next week before they travel to play the 3-0 Vixen on May 30th. St. Louis is not used to starting a season 0-1. And after their bye, they were hungry to get things back on track.
Well, and they were out for a win, and to prove me and you and everybody that St. Louis, that first game was just an aberration. I think when you look at this game in Cincinnati, where the Cougars have a good offense, they also have a good defense. So good job of St. Louis defense, bounced back and was able to hold a good Cincinnati offense to just those 12 points. But there's still some kinks to work out on the offensive side of the ball for the Slam. I think that, and we've seen St. Louis get better as the season progresses with their offense. I think give them time, they might be able to get back up. but they're missing some key pieces. They're not necessarily firing on all cylinders as they used to be. Still, a good win for them and a good result for Cincinnati just the same, because the Cougars, going to St. Louis, able to keep it within, realistically, 1 or 2 possession game.
Averaging 43 points through the first 2 games, the 2-0 Minnesota Vixen took their strong air and ground game into Houston to battle the 1-0 Houston Energy. The Vixen came out passing and running behind Aaron Kelly and Paige Kuplick. Houston could not keep up with Minnesota's firepower as Minnesota remained undefeated. Final score 56-6. Houston is on a bye next week before welcoming the 2-0 Dallas Elite Mustangs of Division II on May 30th. Minnesota is also on a bye next week before welcoming the 1-1 Slam for a rematch also on May 30th. Minnesota is looking their best since the last time they made it to Canton back in 2022. And for the Energy, it's their first 1-1 start in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to describe it, where Minnesota just outpaced Houston. I mean, step for step, stride for stride. When you have an offense that's playing as well as Minnesota has, your defense has to be perfect to try to contend against that. There's a handful of defenses that I can think of that have the ability to keep pace with Minnesota, but right now, 2 of those are in the National Conference. The other one, they won't play until potentially the postseason in Salt Lake. So you look at it for Minnesota, again, they figure to be in the driver's seat. Houston able to get a touchdown against this Minnesota defense. Great, good, we're happy for you. But right now, it's all Minnesota in that American Conference. And good for them to getting back to that form that they were at a couple of seasons ago.
The 1-0 Salt Lake Wildcats went into the 1-0 Nevada Storm and scored 2 touchdowns in the first 7 minutes. They never let up after that, as Laura Gates and her team, now through 2 games, have put up 110 points while allowing 0. Final score 60-0. Next up, the Wildcats will welcome the 1-2 Mile High Blaze next weekend, and the Storm will welcome the 2-0 Cali War. The Wildcats are doing something this season that we have not seen a Division II championship do since moving to the pro level.
And it's not just that the shutout happened, it's the way that the line play happened. Jessie Felker had no time to throw the football. She had no time to get reads. She had no time to be able to actually make good plays because of the penetration that Nevada was getting on the defensive line. When you combine that with an offense that, yes, they know they're a second half offense, but anytime you can go out there and you can realistically put a 0 on the other team's board, it doesn't matter when your offense is going because your defense is going to throw that shutout. Now, they still have to play a big team, and that's an important thing. Nevada, the offense just isn't clicking, largely due to the defense of Salt Lake. But you have to play a good team before people start to wake up and realize, oh, this Salt Lake team, there's something special going on there.
The final game last week was the 1-0 Cali War traveling to play the 1-1 Mile High Blaze. The Blaze had a difficult time moving the ball, and this allowed the War time to play methodically and hand the Blaze their first shutout in 9 games. Final score 27-0. The Blaze will travel to play the 2-0 Wildcats next weekend, and Cali will be on the road as well as they head to the 1-1 Nevada Storm. Cali needs to keep winning and winning big if they want to make a positive push in the postseason.
It's early to say here in week 4 that Cali is a lock to make the postseason, but with the separation that's happening in the American Conference, it's tough to argue that they won't be. I think that when you look at who's stepping up into that role, that quarterback, and you look at how Tanya Guzman's throwing, it seems to be her spot to lose. And the same way, too, with Spidey Barrett. She continues to play well. She continues to pace an offense. And teams have a difficult time game planning around that. Now, when they play a Nevada or when they play a Salt Lake, we're going to get a true sense of where they are. But Mile High just doesn't have it on the offensive side of the football right now where there's any optimism for them to make the playoffs. But also, in the case of Cali, how can they not with what we've seen so far?
All right, I have increased my lead as I had Pittsburgh picked last week and Alex had the Divas. We each had Salt Lake, Cali, Minnesota, and St. Louis right, and we both had Atlanta over Tampa, which we got wrong. That puts me up by 2 points this week as I have a 15-1 record to Alex's 13-3. So Alex, who do you have this week? DC at Tampa.
I think DC here, the heartbreaking loss last week is one thing, but this is a matchup against Tampa where they should be favored on the road.
Music City at Cincinnati.
Music City has been good at Division II, but Cincy's on a whole other level. Give me the Cougars.
St. Louis at Houston.
A chance for Houston to prove where they're at in terms of the postseason picture, but I think St. Louis picks up the road win here.
Dallas at Minnesota.
With nothing stopping Minnesota and Dallas being no other opposition, Minnesota in a rout.
And Salt Lake at Rocky Mountain.
Salt Lake won pretty handily the last time that they played, so I'll take the Wildcats again here.
After this week, the regular season is half over, and we can start to see a clearer picture of who's going to make it far in the postseason. Enjoy the second half of tonight's game, and we'll see you next week on the road to Canton.
Yo, Jay, what you say?
This group right here, all around, is football. We're all football players. Y'all are football players, okay?
Down it. Montiello's going to go straight ahead. Receiver caught, touchdown. They're back by him. What a catch. Houdini acts. She breaks another tackle. There's now one for
because of the turnover that Tiff Wright had earlier on, but as close to it as you can find. The offensive and defensive lines have both been excellent. They've given Aaron Kelly time to throw the football. They haven't given, whether it's Keandra Borthers, whether it's Savannah Burkhalter, whether it's whoever, they haven't given Dallas anything to like on the offensive side of the football. And with the exception of that one turnover, this has been a stacked effort by Minnesota, continuing to take advantage of the schedules that they have and beating the doors off of people. You need 40 points in the Massey ratings when you have a schedule that isn't as strong as Minnesota would like it. The deficit right now for Dallas is 42, and they'll try to continue to build on that here in what's left of this game today.
Yeah, Minnesota with 119 yards on the ground in that first half compared to Dallas's 18, and in the air wasn't much difference as Minnesota with 162 yards in the air because of that great touchdown that we saw at the end of the first half there by Lundberg. Dallas with no yards in the air.
Well, and that's maybe part of the challenge for Dallas, where they've had passing opportunities, but the passes have just been maybe a tad overthrown. And if I'm a quarterback, I'd take the overthrow compared to the underthrow.
How's this look down here?
But it just needs to be cleaner for Dallas here. Again, just in the spot where Dallas is with the schedule that they have left, Houston, the Spice, and not Mile High, OKC. But with the space that they have left, the schedule that they have left, just giving you something going into that next game to give you a little bit of confidence moving on into their next game 2 weeks from tonight.
So Michaela Duraskova set to kick for Minnesota to start the second half. And this one's going to be up over the head. Dallas picks it up at the 20-yard line. Gets a good little block there. Running it back is Zaria Whitaker. And Dallas to start the third quarter, 1st and 10 from their 25-yard line. The sun's beginning to set here. Temperature still in the upper 70s. It's at 77 degrees currently here in St. Paul. And I feel sorry for the Minnesota mascots down there wearing the, you got Sarge wearing the fur head. And then, of course, we have Blitz, the official mascot, running around someplace. I saw Blitz earlier, haven't seen Blitz in a while. I think foxes usually scurry into the dirt when it starts to get too warm.
Well, I think Sarge and Blitz both in their winter coats yet so far and haven't quite shedded yet into the spring and the summer coat, but give them a little time, maybe a couple more home games for the Vixen, and we'll see.
So Dallas Elite in their blues, moving right to left across your screen. Minnesota wearing their visitor whites on the home field, and obviously the temperature has something to do with that. As right away it's a handoff to Zaria Whitaker, and she's taken down by Minnesota's defenders after gaining about 5 yards on the play. 4 yards, going to make it 2nd down and 6.
And that's where we saw in the first drive of the game for Dallas that they had the penalty that set them back, but then all of a sudden you have a 10-yard gain, so the capabilities for Dallas to do something is indeed there, but also they just haven't been able to help themselves out enough over the course of this game, and they haven't really sniffed the end zone at all.
So 2nd down and 6 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs. Clock running continuously as Dallas has invoked the mercy rule. One receiver to the left, one to the right. Pair of running backs in the back. This one's going to be handed off right away to Whitaker. Whitaker's going to run up, get about to the original line of scrimmage here. Maybe even a loss of a yard is going to bring up 3rd down for the Mustangs.
On 3rd down, a tough spot for Dallas in the opening half of play. But in terms of the 3rd down chances that they have had, this is one of the more manageable 3rd down situations for Dallas so far this evening.
About 600, just under 650 spectators in attendance here tonight at Kloss Field. Third down, Borders waits for the snap, drops back. She's going to have to get rid of it quickly. She's being chased down. She's got Amber Kaufman for the Vixen, taking her down in the backfield. Big loss of yards.
Amber Kaufman, for a number of seasons, sat on the sideline watching, but over the last couple of seasons, she's had a really good impact on the defensive side of the football. Great reads in the linebacking core, and a big sack there on 3rd down.
So a loss of 5 on the play, going to make it 4th down and 12 for the Mustangs. Unfortunately, their total yardage for the game going in the wrong direction. Great punt. This one, Britt Peterson. Angry from that touchdown that was called back earlier. Peterson's got one player to block, and she gets knocked out of bounds. Great job by Savannah Burkhalter preventing Britt Peterson from getting in for the touchdown. But Peterson's going to set up a 1st and goal for Minnesota.
And that's the kind of grit that you like to see if you're a fan of the Dallas Elite Mustangs, where you could certainly give up on the play, but Burkhalter, she's a gamer. She followed it all the way. The one who punted the ball followed Peterson all the way to the near side and gave that final shove out of bounds to prevent 6 points.
Peterson with that run back starting at about the 45-yard line. Great job getting Minnesota into a 1st and goal situation. 1st and goal from the Mustangs 9. Kelly still in at quarterback. Waits the snap. She's going to hand it off right away. This time it's handed off to Jefferson. Jefferson's got one player to beat. Jefferson in for the Vixen touchdown.
Ray Jefferson, touchdown Vixen.
Well, for Ray, that's going to feel pretty good. Getting a touchdown against a team from your home state. Little chip on the shoulder, of course, when you're playing somebody from your home state in Texas like Jefferson does. But she just follows the blocking. Really good read on the ball, following it to the outside edge, making Dallas defenders miss, and another 6 points on the board for Minnesota.
So this time the point after attempt is going to be blocked. And Duraskova fails to convert the first time this evening, only the second time this season. As Minnesota now 48-0. 10:45 remaining here in the third quarter.
Well, and here's a look at the Ray Jefferson rushing touchdown. Good blocking and a final step around, looking for the extra block from Kinley Johnson on the outside. Jefferson steps into the end zone for 6. One play, 9 yards, 20 seconds off the clock. But more importantly, on the blocked point after try, Solveig Lundberg picks it up, tries to go towards the end zone, but it's Smallwood for Dallas. He's able to tackle Solveig Lundberg before even getting past the line of scrimmage, and good defensive effort by Dallas to recover.
$10 for one, $20 for three. Like I said,
a great game here so far this evening. 48-0, Minnesota leading currently. Salt Lake up 27-0 over the Rocky Mountain Thundercats. They're on the West Coast. And our first final of the night, the DC Divas get the win over the Tampa Bay Inferno 26-20. And Alex, you and I both had DC picked to win that game.
Well, it's almost like we know what we're talking about, but also a closer scoreline in that game that was indicated. And DC, again, after a tough walk-off loss to Pittsburgh the previous week, you go down, you get a win in Tampa. Maybe not necessarily the margin that you're used to, but Tampa gives them chances every time.
And Alexandria Jackson, after not being able to pull that kick in cleanly, does what she needed to do, and she just falls on that ball, especially after touching it, because the worst thing that could happen right now is to give Minnesota a decent starting position. First and 10 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs from their own 18-yard line here. 10:34 remaining in the third quarter. And Alex, we talked a little bit about this game a couple weeks ago when we looked ahead at the schedule. We knew you and I'd be working this game together. And we've seen Dallas before. We've seen Dallas put some really good teams onto the field before. And you touched on it in the first half of this game, that a lot of what it comes down to right now is the talent pool in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is spread so thin with so many teams that they could play for.
Well, and it was even more spread thin when you have the Arlington Impact in the WFA as well. They've since gone defunct, but you also have other women's tackle teams in Dallas-Fort Worth that are pulling the best and top-end talent away, and that's really tough to recover from. So just like in collegiate athletics, recruiting, retainment, and being able to be salespersons of your team is the pivotal spot for leagues like this, where you're constantly recruiting to attract top talent.
So some confusion on the offensive line here for Dallas Elite, as they don't really know what's going to happen here. It's going to be a direct snap to Whitaker. Whitaker's going to get about a yard or two on the play.
Zariah Whitaker with the carry for the Mustangs.
It looks like we might have another injured Elite Mustang player.
Gain of about 4 yards and second down and 6.
You look on the replay there.
This is what happens when you have low numbers. You got players and athletes that are tasked with playing on both sides of the football. Where all of a sudden you get into the third quarter and we're in a running time situation. But those hits still hurt. And the hits that you get in the first quarter on the first drive of the game really start to kick in right about now, especially with the scoreboard being what it is.
Clock continues to run. 8:30 remaining in the third quarter. Second down and a long 6. Third of the Dallas team in motion. This time, going to be met in the backfield, nowhere to go. as Tiara Darby just runs in to the Minnesota defense.
And Doby's right there, ready to make the tackle. Got help on the backside as well. Again, I like the play design. I like the idea by Dallas, but the execution just hasn't been there because Minnesota's given them no time all night long.
Loss of 3 on the play, 3rd down and 9. The Dallas Elite Mustangs.
Loss of a couple of yards on the play brings up 3rd down and 9 for a Vixen D.
Always makes me feel good when a public address announcer agrees with me. Doesn't always happen. Five seconds remaining on the play clock. Play gets off in time. This time, up the right-hand side of the field.
Ball carried by Precious Anderson.
Precious Anderson, the ball carrier, taken down by Minnesota. Going to pick up some good yardage on the play. About 6 on the play, however, is going to bring up 4th down and 5.
Well, no need to rush here, certainly for Dallas. But a nice gain to the outside edge. Like I've said before, Minnesota, when you're tested on the outside edge, creates some opportunities for teams to run against, but Minnesota, to their credit, has contained the outside edge well, aside from that 10-yard run that ultimately didn't matter on the first drive.
The ball is at their own 22-yard line.
4th down and 5 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs. Punt is really low. Going to take a Dallas bounce. And it's going to be recovered at the 43-yard line. So Minnesota starting on the Dallas side of the field after Alexandria Jackson recovers that punt for the Dallas Elite Mustangs.
Well, and another good defensive drive by Minnesota as the Vixens start to work out some more players on the defensive side, roll some different players into different roles. And we'll see what they have here on tap. Looks like Solveig Lundberg's coming in to play quarterback for the Vixen on this first offensive drive of half number 2.
So 5:58 remaining. Lundberg comes in. Great job by her after that last point after attempt, trying to turn it into something when the snap wasn't right. But Lundberg's going to play quarterback now. Mackenzie Reed, tight end, far to the right. Lundberg takes the snap, hands it off to Bostic. Bostic on the left-hand side. She's got a good block in front of her. She's going to pick up the first down behind a great block by Caroline Carlson.
Ball carried by Candace Bostic.
Well, Bostic's got some good speed. She's played in the defensive side of the football for Minnesota in the past. And that just little counter set up works really well. Bostic follows the blocking, gets a really nice block up top from Carolyn Carlson. It turns into a first down.
Minnesota 1st and 10 from the Dallas Elite 32-yard line. Bostic behind Lundberg again. Hands it off to Bostic again. This time Bostic straight up the middle is going to pick up about 2 yards before she's pulled down by the Dallas defense.
And I certainly don't expect Solveig Lundberg to attempt a pass here. She's 0 for 1 on the year with an interception. The game being where it is, I think just running the football, continue to wind the clock, already in a running clock format, is the correct decision for Minnesota and Connor Joe Lewis.
So just like Aaron Kelly, Solveig Lundberg checks in with Connor Joe before the play. Figures out what's going to be called. Low snap. This time hands it off to Bostic. Bostic right-hand side. She does a little stutter step to her left. Gets a great block. She's got one person to beat. She's going to be in. Touchdown, Minnesota. Candace Bostic.
Candace Bostic. Touchdown, Vixen.
Now look at the speed by Bostic here. She doesn't start with speed early on in the play. But as the blocks start to get set up ahead of her, given time once again by the offensive line, getting good pulls on the line, Bostic just waits for those holes to open, then turns on the speed, then finds her way into the end zone for a 50-burger on the board for Minnesota.
Looks like just a goalpost is a little bright.
Minnesota short personnel as Halverson rushes onto the field at the call of Lundberg. Duraskova had her last point after attempt blocked. Lines up for this one. And Duraskova back in form. Puts Minnesota up 55-0 over the Dallas Elite Mustangs with 4:04 remaining.
And on this replay, there's the slow approach by Candace Bostic, waiting for the blocking to open, and then it just sets up into the middle. You know, there's not a ton. There's a last block there thrown by Kenley Johnson that opens the final hole for her to get into the end zone. It's almost like Dallas was waiting for her to make a move first before reacting to it. And on the defensive side, you got to be the one that's in charge of going out and getting after a player to be able to make that play happen. Dallas didn't, and good on Candace Bostic, waiting for that play to develop, waiting to be able to make her move, and it turns into an end zone touchdown visit.
Precious Anderson, the last Dallas player that had an opportunity to stop Bostic before that end zone gallop.
Trees behind me on the
We've got the corn dog company with Vikings Stadium. Don't you know Whippy Pies and Team Fusion Mocktail? Make sure you get yourself something you don't want to leave the game famished.
So you look at Minnesota's point output this year, where their lowest point of the season so far was against the St. Louis Slam. And that's to be expected, as those two teams have always been tough when they've played each other. But then you look at week 2, 62 points, week 3, 56 points, and here we are at 55 points already. So Minnesota is in a position to have not only their highest scoring game of the season, but possibly in their history.
Well, and that's where Minnesota's offense, we've said it multiple times over the course of the game, it's as balanced and as well focused as it has been in the long and tenured history of the Minnesota Vixen.
So this time the return gets all the way up to the 29-yard line as Alexandria Jackson carries it back for the Dallas Elite Mustangs and gives them a 1st and 10. Brian Sweeney here with Alex Wested from Hamline University on the campus of St. Paul, Minnesota at Kloss Field. And you can see the K's missing there. If I was a betting man, I would say that, you know, there's probably a Minnesota player that ran into it, knocked it over. Probably a running back, maybe a name that rhymes with Coupling.
Oh, yeah. Got some good hops on it, too, to get up there.
Coupling does what she does best, and that's bowl people over. We've seen it in the first half, and not sure we'll see it anymore today, but if we do,
yeah, that's good.
It's going to be exciting no matter what. She leads the league in touchdowns.
Well, we saw it in the WFA All-American game last year in Canton, Ohio, too. First play from scrimmage, they give her that football, and whoop, there she goes.
So 1st and 10 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs from their own 29-yard line. This time, going to run to the right and going to be taken down. Anderson filling in for the quarterback duties now for Dallas. Loss of 4 on the play. 2nd down and 14.
And giving players from Minnesota now a chance to play that might normally not play in those big games. So for the fans, and you mentioned the attendance already, over 650 folks here tonight, but give them a chance to see what their athlete can do.
Helmet comes off. Precious this time. Correction, that's Tajian Cherry.
Anderson with the run. Again,
looks like the helmet came off.
For a loss of about 3.
You know, you talk about players that don't necessarily always get a chance. We found out at halftime that defensive end Morgan Petipas for the Minnesota Vixen, this is their first game that they've ever played as a rookie.
Well, and when you get those opportunities to play, it's really exciting. And to make an impact as well as Petipas has, that's even better.
Fans, you can help us have continued success this season.
So Minnesota elects to use their first timeout of the second half.
The winning ticket
As we hear the public address announcer talk about winning tickets and games and things of that nature. Salt Lake Wildcats have increased their lead over Rocky Mountain 34-0. A couple other Pro Division games will be starting fairly soon if they haven't started already.
We're getting into the West Coast time zone, Pacific Coast time zone as well. Keep eyes on some of what's going on out there. We're already halfway through the regular season, week 4 of 8 of the regular season. Obviously, I think everybody would want more data points, more games to play. Hey, we play for the game, right? But there's obviously a lot of logistic pieces that go into it, and the 600 folks here in attendance obviously want to see more Minnesota Vixen football, but it's not necessarily all in their control. At one point, this league had, what, 12 games? 12 weeks?
I don't remember 12. I remember 10.
10, that sounds right.
And then it was 8 for quite a few seasons, and then after COVID is when it dropped down to 6.
That's what it was, yeah.
And 6 is where it has stood, and although, as you stated, many people across the country would love to see more games, financially, for most of the league, 6 is about what they can do. Pittman was the ball carrier that time. Pettipaw, who we just talked about with the tackle.
Well, all over the place, and a drive for Dallas. That went backwards over the course of it. Again, for Minnesota, we know the strength that they have at most of their starting positions, but when you have the depth that we're seeing from the Vixen today, too, that's even better.
So 4th down and about 17. This punt is going to go straight up in the air, and the way it's spinning, looks like it's going to take a roll for neither team as it rolls straight towards the Minnesota sideline before being covered up by Dallas.
Well, that's the nature of it, right? When you put the ball into the air, sometimes punts work in your favor, other times they don't. In that case, it just found a nice neutral middle. Minnesota takes over 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line of the Dallas Elite Mustangs.
We want to thank John Sands for always being in charge of stats. Does a great job getting these to us in a reasonable time. Solveig Lundberg in as quarterback again for this possession for the Minnesota Vixen. Throws it to her left. Dvorak with the completion. Dvorak's going to pick up the 1st down. She's going to get hit hard and pushed out of bounds, but not before picking up the 1st down for Minnesota.
And it's tough to say for somebody like Amanda Dvorak, where she's a sneaky, quiet receiver now, considering how long she's played on this team. But she is, to an extent, sneaky quiet. Another good trip screen on the high side. Dvorak's the one that comes back to the football, makes the catch, secures it, and with the blocking that she has up the field, is able to turn it to a big gain.
So, something happening here. No. We're staring at the game and not paying attention to the clock, and that's going to take us to the end of the 3rd quarter, where your Minnesota Vixen are up over the Dallas Elite Mustangs 55-0. We'll be back right after this for the exciting conclusion of this game.
Waving the flag.
Not at the moment. I looked and there wasn't anyone.
Welcome back. To Kloss Field, I'm Brian Sweeney with Alex Wested. Minnesota Vixen up 55-0 over the Dallas Elite Mustangs, and driving. A Solveig Lundberg takes a step back. Going to pass the ball. This one's going to fall incomplete. Intended for Emily Salvador, rookie tight end.
Lundberg's pass intended for Emily Salvador.
Well, Minnesota's still trying to use the passing game to an extent, not taking any big shots, but using those trips and those quads to create deception. Good practices in terms of the plays that they want to run. That ball just, I don't know, it looked good out of the hand of Lundberg, but then it just died at the feet of Salvador.
Of course, Minnesota spending this fourth quarter moving into the sun. So this time, Lundberg's going to hand it off to Ray Jefferson. Jefferson, left-hand side of the field, starts to bobble it, but she's knocked out of bounds by Monique Smallwood as she's bobbling the ball. And there is a flag on the play thrown at the 10-yard line.
And this was almost simultaneous to the contact Jefferson had on the Dallas defender. Be an offensive
holding.
Looks of it.
Offense, number 41. 10-yard penalty, second down.
That's Emily Salvador, who just had that incomplete pass thrown to her last time. That's the guilty party of the holding call on this play. So that's going to push Minnesota back.
They mark off the
Bring up second down and 15.
23-yard line of the Mustangs.
Clock continues to run. Dallas elected the mercy rule, continuous clock.
I'll try to do some in and out too.
Two receivers to her right. This time, straight up the middle, Jefferson is stopped. And it's going to be a loss of almost 2 yards, as we do have an injured Minnesota player on the field. That's Caroline Carlson.
And Carlson went down pretty quickly into this play as she's getting back. She lost the battle 1-to-1 against the defender. Her falling down was part of the reason why Jefferson lost her footing. Now she's down on the field after the loss of 2.
We're waiting to see what happens here.
I guess.
Salt Lake now up with 40 points.
We're running it live right now. Yeah. You got to play wider. I think I'm going to be wider on the corner here. Yeah. Just probably. Although I'm kind of going in and out.
Attending to on the field.
Sorry? All of mine is just highlights, so I don't have to be wide. Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'd want closer shots. For sure.
So, Alex, we talked a little bit on Road to Canton this week about the teams that we expected to see in Canton for the national championship. And one thing that the league started doing is the American Conference that has the Vixen is now divided up into 3 regions. And what's really going to come down to is you're obviously going to have whoever's first in those regions is going to get to move forward. But then we have the one region with Cali, Mile High, Nevada, and Salt Lake that actually has 4 teams, because Minnesota's region is the only region with 3. So realistically, you have to finish first in this region if you want to make it into the postseason.
I think that's safe to say that at the very least. You know, in Houston, with the games that they have to have good performances. They did not perform well against Minnesota. And when you play St. Louis head-to-head, as they're doing, are the Houston Energy, that's another game that they have to have a good showing in, just with the Massey ratings being what they are.
So 1st and 17 for the Vixen. This time, Lundberg's going to keep the ball, moving to her right. She's going to escape a couple players. She's going to pick up a couple yards, about 3 on the play. It's going to bring up the first 4th down of the night for the Minnesota Vixen.
And you're well within the field goal range for Drishkova. It looks like it'll be field goal unit coming on for Minnesota. And looking at about a 39-yard field goal, well within the range of what Drishkova is able to hit.
Drishkova this season already 1 for 1 on the field goals. Lundberg to hold it. Snap is up. This one's going to be a line drive. It's not going to be good as it's going to go underneath the uprights.
She'll get another look at it, though, with the offsides on the far side.
Offsides penalty.
So this is going to be offsides by Dallas Elite. It's going to move the ball 5 yards.
They'll walk off 5 yards
And on one hand, it's admirable for Dallas, where you have the excitement to try to make an impact on the play and be first and get a block. You've already blocked an extra point tonight. But the amount of offsides penalties, the things you can't necessarily control talent on one side versus another, but you can control the procedural aspects for that, and Dallas just hasn't been able to do so well tonight.
So second try from Duraskova. This one 5 yards closer. This one's going to be a high snap. Going to be over Lundberg's head, and this one's going the wrong way. And Duraskova's going to have to cover this ball up at the 42-yard line. Dallas is going to take over with a good position on downs.
And normally you'd say in a spot like this on the miscued snap, if you can't make a throw on the football for an incompletion, obviously that's what you should do in that first spot. There was no chance, though, that Duraskova was going to be able to do so. The ball was just bouncing lively on the turf here at Clausfield and Hamlin, and there was just no chance for anything aside from a big loss to happen. So another tough break for Minnesota, not going to have an impact on the outcome of the game, but something still to be considerate of going on to the rest of the Minnesota Vixen season.
So Dallas Elite Mustangs, 1st and 10 from their own 42-yard line. Clock continues to tick away with just 10:25 remaining here in the fourth quarter. I'm Brian Sweeney with Alex Westhead. Clausfield, the campus of Hamlin University. And once again, I did not win the 50-50 raffle. It's kind of like the old adage, you don't know the players without a program. You can't win without buying a ticket. So Dallas launches this one. This one looks like it was going to be intercepted, and it is. It's Minnesota ball. Intercepted by Isabella Tatum.
Tatum on the interception for the Vixen.
This is a great read on this football. It's a good pass thrown by Borders, but the better read by Tatum, cutting under the throw and making the contested interception. Great play by the Vixen rookie.
So Minnesota 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line. On the first interception that's counted tonight for Minnesota, as Britt Peterson had one earlier this game that went in for the touchdown, but was ultimately called back as Minnesota was offsides. Lundberg in at quarterback. Waits for the snap. This one's handed off to Hobie. Left-hand side of the field. Tackled out of bounds. There is a flag on the play. This one looks like it's going to be coming back.
Jess Eppenberger with the run for the Vixen. Tackle made by Precious Anderson. There is a flag.
Eppenberger actually was the ball carrier.
Eppenberger, another softball athlete that has come to play for not for St. Thomas. She played softball for St. Thomas. Now she plays football for the Minnesota Vixen.
So 1st and 20 for the Vixen after that penalty. Backs them all the way up to the 30-yard line. Just over 8 minutes remaining here in the game.
Side judge called for a timeout. And now nobody knows what's going on. Minnesota's still set on the line.
You got it.
Tyler Downs, our referee, trying to sort things out.
Having a pretty good conversation with Precious Anderson, but about what? Helmet didn't come popped off at all, did it? So she'd have to sit out for a play?
That would be, I believe, what I saw. As Eppenberger was tackled on the Minnesota sideline, I did see a plain white helmet rolling around.
And Dallas' argument is that the play was negated due to a penalty, but in that case, should it not matter? And I mean, the play still happened.
Well, if there was an injury and the play didn't count, the injury is still there. So I'm going to go with the helmet should still be enforced. This time, Lundberg's pass is thrown behind her. It's caught by Halverson. Halverson makes it back up past the original line of scrimmage, and she's going to get pushed out of bounds at about the 44-yard line.
Pass complete to Edie Halverson.
Correction, 40-yard line.
James for the Mustangs.
So second down and 9 for Minnesota.
Second down and 9.
There's that trips formation again, just that soft screen. The ball's thrown behind Halverson. Does a really nice job of getting back to it. Got a nice little block from Salvador on the inside and just went up the field.
Lundberg waits for the snap. This time she hands it off to Jefferson. Jefferson straight up the middle. She's got a blocker in front of her. That's Kensley Johnson, the blocker, and she's going to keep pushing as Jefferson picks up a Minnesota first down.
Ray came to play today. That's for sure. I mean, the scoreline being what it is doesn't matter to how Ray plays. Physical, grinding, effective in the end. Turns into a first down.
Great block here if we look at the replay by Kenley Johnson. After Jefferson gets through here.
First down, Sarge.
Kind of runs into 3 Dallas players and allows Jefferson to pick up about another 3 to 4 yards. So first down and 10 for Minnesota from the Mustangs 40. Lundberg waits for the snap. This time she throws it behind her again. This one's caught by Kenley Johnson. Johnson's going to pick up a few more yards. She's going to get up to Dallas's 33 and make it second down and 3.
And another throw that goes backwards out of the hand of Lundberg, or at least the very close. You can see on the replay a lateral parallel to the line of pass. And it's just Johnson turning it upfield, and so the receivers and the linebackers and the running backs and the tight ends and everybody who's caught a pass, when they've had the ability to go north-south, have done a really good job of doing exactly that and turning the field into a big play.
So Eppenberger behind Lundberg. Lundberg this time hands it off to Eppenberger. Eppenberger's got blocking on the right-hand side. She cuts back towards the middle. She gets past the tackler. She makes it all the way to the 9-yard line before she's taken down. Going to be first and goal for Minnesota.
Well, the ball pops out at the end here, out of the hands of Eppenberger, but well down with contact. And another good game on the ground for Minnesota.
Keisha James from Dallas Elite getting up and favoring her leg.
They spot the ball at the 10-yard line. It's first down and goal for Vixen.
First and goal for Minnesota from the 10-yard line. 4:25 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Lundberg waits for the snap. She's going to throw it to her left. Mackenzie Reed, the intended target, just a little bit out of her reach as the ball rolls onto the ground.
That was a pretty quick throw out of the hand of Lundberg. We've seen the gun get thrown by Aaron Kelly, but Lundberg with a pretty strong throw here as well, firing it into a tight space. Just a tad off for the completion.
So second down and goal for Minnesota. For those just tuning in, Minnesota totally dominated the first half. Aaron E.K. Kelly taking the second half off. Going to extend her bye-week rest as this pass is intended for Salvador falls incomplete. Going to bring up third down.
And you can see how active the feet are of Solveig Lundberg as she's sitting there waiting. Good active feet, keeping the body moving. So that way when it comes time to make the throw, she's there and in a good spot for it. Just a tad overzealous, perhaps. I think maybe just being a little more patient, waiting for that play to develop. You've got time. There's no reason to rush the throw here. There's some talent there with Lundberg. Just got to keep developing it.
And for those curious about the rules, if a team is ahead by 50, their starting quarterback must sit. So it's not that Aaron Kelly's injured. It's that we have to follow the rules of the WFA. So this time Lundberg's got a block. This time she's going to throw it, and once again intended for Salvador. Salvador's dropped 3 passes so far on this drive.
3 straight incompletions as well for Solveig Lundberg. Chances were there. I think we'll see the field goal unit come out here for a short-ish field goal, 27 yards, give or take. Still, chances that you had, the opportunities were there for Minnesota to put more than 3 points onto the board, and just couldn't quite get it done on this drive.
So the last time Duraskova was out to attempt a field goal, the first attempt was a line drive. Second attempt was a high snap. This time the snap was down good. Duraskova's kick is up, and the field goal is good. So Duraskova adding 3 points to the Minnesota Vixen lead.
It's all good.
That increases their lead to 55-58 to nothing over the Dallas Elite Mustangs.
Now the field goal is good. Now we've seen a couple of times in the WFA Pro level this year about how you need that field goal to just put those extra points on the board, or in a game-winning situation, hit the field goal, get the 3 points. And in the case of Duraskova, able to just see the ball go through the pylons.
That scoring drive was 8 plays, 50 yards, took up 5 points.
So a minute 56 remaining in week number 4 for the Minnesota Vixen before they get a much needed rest. Having a bye week in week number 5 before week number 6. The St. Louis Slam will be right here on this field.
And there is the advantage to playing as many games early on as Minnesota has. And now you get your rest, your bye weeks in the back half of the season, where the injury list is long for Minnesota. It hasn't hurt them yet, but you also have 2 of your toughest games remaining, St. Louis home and Tampa Bay on the road, where maybe Tampa isn't necessarily an opponent that has a great pedigree, but at the same time, they just gave DC a run for their money on home turf, and the opportunity exists for them to have to do so again. So Minnesota will take the week, they'll get healthy, they'll get safe, they'll get ready to go, and then they'll be in a good spot for the last 2 games of this regular season.
So the kick is up. This one's going to be fielded at the 19-yard line. She cuts back to the left, runs into the Minnesota players at the 35-yard line. A great tackle by Zachary Flugel.
I'm all the way up right now.
And almost certainly the last drive of the game now for Dallas. Just looking for something to build into next week on.
Skoglund on the return there.
Yeah, here we go.
Runs hard into Jerry. First and 10 for the Dallas Elite Mustangs from their own 35-yard line as we approach 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining here in this game. Women's Football Alliance, Week 4 action. Dallas Elite Mustangs here playing the Minnesota Vixen. Kloss Field on the campus of Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota. With Alex Westhead, I'm Brian Sweeney. We thank you for tuning into this game that was quite exciting from the get-go as we see another drop pass there with Britt Monio on the coverage for Minnesota.
A tough spot for Burkhalter. Still in a spot where she can get to the ball, and I think if she stays on her feet, she's able to get to it just fine. As she slides to her knees, and timeout will be taken by Minnesota here But as she slides to her knees, she's lost the sight and lost the track of the ball as it falls incomplete.
Not much has changed across the rest of the league right now. Salt Lake's still up over Rocky Mountain, 40-0. Of course, we already talked earlier how DC Divas picked up their second win of the season over Tampa Bay Inferno by a final score of 26-0. So it looks like this is going to be the third goose egg in the Pro Division matchups.
Do you like that tension
so far this weekend?
Or is it's kind of like
not
like
quite
that
sure
little
how the
tension there, or do you
Pittsburgh
want more
game's
tension?
going.
'Cause you can't move it with this.
Yeah, I found it.
Is that where you
As
like
good
it?
as the parity has gotten in the Pro Division of the WFA, the gap between the top and the second tier is still very, very strong. Where the amount of shutouts that happen in this league is still something that you see very, very frequently.
Definitely a rare instance last week when we saw Johnson kick a walk-off field goal for the Pittsburgh Passion over the DC Divas. And as a broadcaster, as a fan of the game, I would love to see great catch by the Dallas Elite Mustangs. Going to get out of bounds, going to pick up a first down as they move the chains.
And I would just...
As I was saying, though, I mean, that was a great catch by Precious Anderson.
Yeah, I didn't use the dial. I think
Or correction, Burkhalter.
Easy way to
You know, it's great to see, as a broadcaster, those games that end by a walk-off field goal, a last-minute Hail Mary, something like that. Something that we hope to see as we get this league continues to grow, as it just gets bigger and better every single year.
Well, and it's exciting to say the very least. And now for Dallas, they're running their first play in Minnesota territory this afternoon.
So 1st and 10. Dallas going to throw it deep again. This one falls incomplete. Definitely had an opportunity to catch this one.
The Mustang pass is incomplete. And Sarge is waving the victory flag.
And that's going to end it. Your final score, Minnesota 58, Dallas Elite Mustangs 0. And Alex, we expected this from the get-go, that Minnesota was going to put up points and put them up quickly, and they did just that tonight.
And I said in our introduction tonight, Brian, that this was a do-your-job game for the Minnesota Vixen. No funny business, no messing around, just do the job that you're expected to do. There were miscues tonight for Minnesota, a turnover, a couple of penalty flags that they would have liked to have not had, but on the whole, Minnesota dominant from beginning to end, exactly what they needed to show here tonight against an opponent that they should win 99 times out of 100, if not more commonly than that. Now going into what's coming up the rest of the way, you have a tough game against St. Louis, you have a tough game in Tampa, but when you have 4 games, you're playing into the Massies, you've got that 40-point margin of victory that you need for the Massies to work in your favor. Exactly what Minnesota needed to do, the job got done tonight.
Yeah, and you know, we want to wish, obviously, the Dallas Elite Mustangs, we talked about how many of them drove up here for this game. We want to wish them all safe travels home. We also want to wish a very speedy recovery to their player that was in that accident as she was on her way to play this evening. For Alex Westhead, our camera crew, our production crew, everybody at Fan Club, everybody at the Minnesota Vixen, we thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm Brian Sweeney, your final score, Minnesota 58, Dallas Elite 0.
Yeah, that worked pretty well. I mean, it's only down to 89.
This group right here, all around, is football. We're all football players. Y'all are football players, okay?
Down. Tatiana's going to go straight ahead. Got a receiver caught, touchdown. They're back again. What a catch. Houdini acts for a sideline. She breaks another tackle. Ben's got one ready to beat.
You know the moments, the feeling in your feet, the rhythm of ambition, that extra, that aha, that sight. That's something. The click, the shift, the boom, and you're there. The mess becomes a map, and you call it art, or science, or code, because now you know the way forward. For all the moments that drive you, there's edX. Fuel your ambition with thousands of job-relevant courses and programs at edX.org. You know the moments. The feeling in your feet, the rhythm of ambition, that extra, that aha, that sight.
That's something.
The click, the shift, the boom, and you're there. The mess becomes a map, and you call it art, or science, or code, because now you know the way forward. For all the moments that drive you, there's edX. Fuel your ambition with thousands of job-relevant courses and programs at edX.org.
To her left, has time, throws on the run to the end zone. It's caught for a touchdown. Pittsburgh TD.
The athletes, they're the backbone of this whole league, and they're just amazing people. They've got amazing stories.
Barrett in a pattern, they're looking for her. Able to bring that one in, Brianna Barrett. My goodness.
I never thought I'd be here. I feel like the best things in life are things that come to you unexpected. So it's been a great journey for me.
I know this is where I'm supposed to be.
Caught touchdown, Jada Meister.
Essentially, it's true of breaking barriers, right?
She could go all the way, and she does. Touchdown.
We're shattering the glass ceiling.
Great pass up in the air. Touchdown.
All of the women role models that we look up to are all women who did things that were not expected.
They realize they're pioneers. They realize that the trail that they leave is going to be a path that a young girl can follow.
It gives you hope. They believe in themselves, I believe in them, and Frank will believe in all of us, so it just goes with the territory.
And as we can see, the future of technology is with us. You might be thinking, Doc, this is truly amazing. And we got.
Hey, is the projector ready? Come on, time for a team meeting.
In the quiet moments before dawn, champions are made. Every fan, every athlete, every moment counts. It's not just a game, it's a passion that unites us, drives us, and makes us strive for greatness. Greatness is wherever fans connect and call home. We believe in the power of the community. We believe in turning passion into action. We bring fans closer and transform loyalty into unforgettable experiences. Join us. Make every moment matter. Fan Club. Get your fans in the game.
Yo, Jay, what you say?
You know the moments. The feeling in your feet, the rhythm of ambition, that extra, that aha, that sight.
That's something.
The click, the shift, the boom, and you're there. The mess becomes a map, and you call it art, or science, or code, because now you know the way forward. For all the moments that drive you, there's edX. Fuel your ambition with thousands of job-relevant courses and programs at edX.org.